Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to day two of ATAL Academy's 6-day online faculty development program on Next Gen Communication, Technologies and Application, hosted by DS IMDR. And I hope you all found day one enriching, engaging, and full of takeaways that sparked new thoughts and possibilities. Today, we continue this exciting journey with more interactive sessions, expert perspectives, and opportunities to exchange ideas. Let us carry forward the energy and curiosity from yesterday as we dive into another day of learning and exploration. Our first session today, session 3, is on IoT applications in business. And to enlighten us on this fascinating topic, we are privileged to have with us Mr. Dushyant Arora, Zonal Sales, Emerging Business at Bharti Airtel. The Internet of Things is no longer a futuristic concept. It's a present day reality that is reshaping industries, optimizing processes, and creating unprecedented value. Guiding us through this transformative landscape is none other than Mr. Arora. Sir is a seasoned sales professional with a rich and diverse background in the telecommunication and media industries. Currently, as the zonal sales lead for emerging business at Bharti Airtel, he stands at the forefront of driving the adoption of new age technologies, helping enterprises leverage cutting edge solutions to solve real world challenges. His career journey is marked by significant leadership roles, including serving as a cluster head for Maharashtra at Big FM and as senior manager at Geo, where he played a pivotal role in launching their product and services. A proud alumnus of IMDR, Mr. Arora also holds a postgraduate degree in digital marketing and communications from the prestigious Micah College. His expertise in strategic planning, key account management, and new product launches makes him the ideal expert to shed light on the practical business application of IoTs. We eagerly look forward to gaining insights from his rich hands on experience. Sir, we are truly honored to have you with us today, and the virtual stage is now all yours. Over to you.
Thank you. Thanks for the sweet introduction. Uh, Welcome everyone, and today we would be learning about IoT. So I would be helping you with an presentation. You can note down your questions during the presentation, and after the presentation, we will have question and answers. Let me present my deck here. Second. So as you guys know, the topic is IoT applications in businesses. Before diving deep into the topic, I will just take you through what IoT is. Basically, IoT comprises this. If I try to simplify the things, IoT comprises of two things. One is internet, and another is devices. So the things which are referred here are basically devices which are communicating with each other. So it's very simple, but at the other end, it is complex because the nature of communication which goes between the devices varies environment to environment. So devices at one end could be a sensor, the other end it could be a server, and then there could be another set of devices which are doing computes. These are machines. And then in new age technology, we talk about AI, then something which AI is developing on its own, then uh, machine learning comes into play, and then you know uh, then the limit is not set for IoT. So because of AI coming into the picture, it is tend to grow. So now let's go very simply into the IoT, what IoT is. So going by the definition, I would say that network of things as physical devices with sensors, connectivity, and that exchange data. So there are three things here. If you see in the definition, there are some devices which are physically present somewhere. They are collecting some data. These are raw data, and then you need to send it somewhere where you can make sense out of it, and those data is communicated. So this one leg is communication. So connectivity is another part. Then that data is processed, and that location where the location that data is processed depends, like it is edge computing or it is cloud computing. And then outcome which is visible to everyone is the user interface. So the all the backend stuff which is going in IoT is known to very few, and the end result is known to everyone. So by this, we can understand that we are only seeing very uh, few front end of the IoT. So this is what we see, like IoT around us. Like in our smart homes, we have uh, Alexa. We say Alexa to play music. Alexa will play music. We say Alexa to tell us something. We ask Alexa. We If something is getting delivered to your doorstep, Alexa will intimate you that there is uh, delivery aligned to you today by Amazon. So these are the brands working in markets, right? If I talk about wearables, then you have smartwatches, then you have certain sensors, and in healthcare industry also wearables are used where everything is monitored. Your ECG is done, or continuous monitoring is required, or in sports industry as well, where wearables are commonly used to check the uh, standard of your fitness. So these are the things which you see at the front end, but there is a lot of work which is happening on the back end. So that is IoT. So, like in this smart city, and you have smart lights, like you are consuming electricity on your road, uh, so which is lightening your roads. So there are these lights are controlled from a command center where when you want to switch on, when you want to switch off, and if there are motion, when these lights could be switched on, or you want to conserve electricity, where which part you want to switch off at what time. So that can be recorded or monitored from one single hub. So this is smart city. Mobility is there. So vehicles comes, new vehicles, new age vehicles are coming, where you have inbuilt facilities where Android Auto or these are working on, connectivity, and inbuilt features of certain cars are basically built on connectivity provided by cellular operator or someone else. The end use is like in mobility, like I would say, uh, you know, if there is an certain emergency, there is an emergency button you can plug, and the command center, you can relay every voice inside the cab to the command center SOS button. So that those are the features IoT brings on table. And again, payment gateways, UPIs, there are many use cases for IoT, like a sound box. You make a payment, and the sound box says that so much and so paisa has been received, rupees has been received, and it's in the voice of Amitabh Bachchan. So these features are of IoT, right? That sound box is powered by a cellular SIM card, and the feature when you make a payment, that payment value is a variable which is announced at that time, right? Then traffic monitoring. This is one which is commonly used by the government for highways. Then toll collection, we use FASTag, right? Healthcare is something which I just told. So these are the elements which are around us. So we know we are experiencing this, but there is a lot of things happening uh, behind this when these things are built. So there are multiple systems which are communicating with each other. when these system devices are communicating with each other and they are delivering an end output to you, so that makes IoT. So basically, internet and the devices connected through the internet, these are communicating with each other and there is no human intervention. So I would say it's a kind of an automation, complete automation where there is no human intervention. You are making payment at a shop with UPI. There is no human intervention. Your money is transferred and there is an acknowledgement at the receiver's end as well as who is sending the money, that he also gets or she also gets the acknowledgement over the app. So these are the devices when they are communicating with each other. So end-to-end business where a value is created and then these solutions are adopted. So why these solutions were adopted so fast is the only reason that there was a business value originating from these transactions. So the catch here is the IoT in business applications. So when IoT is delivering certain value, you are able to generate certain revenue, then it makes IoT a very strong case because it needs investment. And then there should be an ROI because of these devices when they are communicating with each other. Then it makes very your it makes the business ease of doing business is there. So IoT is adopted fast. So this is the common use cases which you see around us. So there, these are something which is visible to consumer basically. So we would be discussing beyond this, which is business applications of IoT. So this is where, as a consumer, we are consuming it, right? So just to make you understand what is IoT, right? So I have presented this. Uh, Now, before deep diving into the IoT, let's go through the industry, like why it makes sense in businesses to have uh, IoT applications, right? So basically, if you see IoT market is projected to reach 875 billion by 2025 and it's still growing, and by 2030 and it is expected to reach, devices growth is expected to reach 1.4 billion from 2024 to 2030 it will be 15 billion. So look at the devices that would be growing in market. So which industry is growing? Basically, your electronics, semiconductor, and the other industries which are manufacturing the devices. So these devices which are there in market, they will grow tremendously. And when the devices will communicate with each other, there will be automation in process. Then the IoT industry is definitely it's booming. So with IoT, there are multiple industries associated with it, right? So we will be discussing that also during the presentations, right? So there are almost, you can understand the expected growth, which I have highlighted in this presentation. So these are the few key points, not much to bother about. Just the flow will is coming and IoT is everywhere. You can see IoT everywhere. What are the levers that are driving this growth? Just try to understand those levers. So earlier, the technology was limited and restricted to certain resources because the cost was involved. So the cost has gone down. If you see devices cost has gone down, then the technology ecosystem has evolved. We have moved from 2G, 3G to 4G and then 5G. So 5G revolution just came in, then this has helped to communicate with the devices at a very faster rate. and then the compute has increased. So if I talk about the compute, it was very centric to top 10 organization like I would say Amazon, Azure, Google, or Oracle. So these are the organizations where compute was very centered. Then the ecosystem didn't, our Indian ecosystem didn't had data centers. So where the compute happens, major compute happens, the cloud works so the data infrastructure has started coming in dedicated data centers with megawatts of plants dedicated for data centers where the only data racks are kept, servers are kept. So traditional method of doing business was like everyone has to invest in an hardware which would be set up on-prem. Instead of on-prem, we have gone on cloud, and now the cloud has become very sovereign. So I come from an industry where we have launched recently a sovereign cloud as well, and these infrastructures are basically the growth levers for IoT business. So when infrastructure is ready, then the devices will be able to communicate with each other and you will be able to get the desired output. So that is why I would say that this growth is coming. That is why this growth uh, is there to come as well. So definitely, it's one of the industries where everything is on the positive side. So this would be the industry where I see that recession will have or any other adverse effect on the economy will not impact much, and this will continue growing because this is leveraged by many industries now to optimize their resources as well. So earlier, it was majorly the IT sector or the end consumer which used to take advantage. Now, the industrial applications and the smart cities, healthcare, agriculture, you name the field, IoT is present now. So these are the things which are helping 5G technology with ultra low latency facilitating the complex IoT ecosystem that has helped. And private 5G has uh, played an important role in industrial revolution as well. Right. So definitely when I say this is happening around us, what is the challenges there? So cybersecurity is one of the biggest challenge here. So you are talking at home, and if somebody is listening on his app to you, if some private app provider is that app trusted enough, you are talking and somebody is listening to you. Is that possible? Yes, that is possible. That's why there is a responsibility with your uh, uh, handset provider who has security features like you have genuine application on Play Store or on iOS. So if you are using application which are not known to you or the sources are not known, so you will find that those applications are not there on the Play Store or iOS. So there could be dangerous applications in IoT, which you might think that it will solve certain purposes for you, but they can impact your privacy as well. So this is the IoT industry in current state. So before we move forward, let's go back and analyze how it has grown over a period of time. So in late 1960s and early 70s, when internet started evolving, when the network started communicating with each other, then there was a revolution which came in 1990 when the Internet of Things was first uh, faced by Kevin Ashton. Uh, this is where nobody was aware what this is meant for, right? Because our thought process was very limited to limited devices. Now the devices range are there. So We know what Internet of Things are, but this was very limited to very limited resources were there and was limited to certain uh, you know uh, privileged ones, and they used to get the benefit of this. But the technology evolved over a period of time, and that's why we know what IoT is today. The first IoT communication, I would say, was on RFID. So radio frequency was utilized, I would say. So that was the local medium of communication. The first local medium of communication was, even in fact today also, I would say radio frequency is used locally. So RFID at 360, 860 megahertz is something everyone utilizes it, right? So this was where the networking was helping the devices to communicate with each other without the human intervention. So that was phase when half of the automation has already happened. So beyond RFID, I would say barcodes, QR codes, Bluetooth, local communication at a limited area where things were limited to a small premises and small uh, setup. So that was the basic understanding and the origin of IoT. From there, we have evolved to multiple origins where multiple geographies. Now we are communicating the server is at one end of the city, and you are communicating to a site which is on the other end of the city, or we are communicating domestically, or we are communicating globally. So these devices are communicating with the help of internet with each other, and they are creating some automation and value. So my next slide will tell you that how uh, you know this industrial revolution has helped. You know, uh, the first industrial revolution started in 1960s. So this is where we know people from the mechanical background or people who are from the industry, manufacturing, they would be aware about it. But definitely how it has moved is where we wanted, you know, to become perfect in our manufacturing setups, where we wanted that there is a quality, identical looking products, right? So we wanted a system which gives us the perfection what we are delivering, perfection in what we are delivering. So that is where the need for automation came in. So 1870s, we were focusing on the mass production. So production was required for the consumer market. Then we evolved to third industrial revolution, where the half of the automation already started in. So in 1969, where the half of the automation came into play because of the radio frequency and the communication use in the manufacturing, right? So then the fourth industrial revolution, has started recently, a decade back, I would say, 2011, where the full automation has started in the manufacturing setups, where the every part of the assembly line or different parts, SCM or on the side of automation. So all concepts are basis the information sharing, and how the information is shared on the real time basis is basis the devices, and these devices are communicating with each other. So how they communicate with each other, that we would be learning in the in next few slides. So let's focus on the fourth revolution. uh, so what has happened that industry 4.0 and with IoT, I would say. So there are internet presence, we know, 2000, first decade, second decade. Then what has happened in that, we have seen social media growing so fast, right? Then we have seen that there is ease in everything that we do. We can order anything online, then everything is available online. When websites are available where you can sell your products, then there are online shops are available. So these digital revolution has come uh, recently, I would say, not even recently, a decade or two decades ago, where before that we didn't even realize what can be done with internet, right? But when we started doing this, then there were brains in market who were looking to automate things, and when they want to automate things, they can do it remotely as well. So they need a communication which can, you know, handle large uh, needs there. So that is why the smart factories, connected devices, came into play. So Internet of Things is present in many area, but in industries, definitely there are certain parameters which we can see now. It is purely dependent on Internet of Things, and it helps us to take better decisions. So digital twin is one of the revolution which I would like to mention here. So cybersecurity is there in industry 4.0, then augmented reality is there, right? So digital twin is something where you can stimulate things and you can reach out and to your end result without deploying the actual infrastructure. So you know how to plan better, and then basis that result you can plan. So this is how we are growing, and IoT in is in the center of that, right? So moving forward, let's try to understand what is the IoT architecture. So we what we have done in slides before this. Let me summarize this for you. So what is IoT? It is very simple. What are the layers of IoT? We will be discussing forward. But what was the history of IoT and how it is evolved over a period of time? So we have discussed that. So now here is something, everything when we plan everything, we need to identify what are our key areas or key components that needs to be worked on, right? So IoT comprises of four key elements, key layers, I would say. One is the perception and the sensing layer. This is the layer where data is collected. Devices are present actually on ground and they are collecting some data. What is happening to do that data, we will talk about in layer 2, but what kind of devices these are. So perception layer is itself is an industry in itself. So what I would say, that data, when it is perceived by a sensor, who has manufactured that sensor, for what purpose that sensor has been deployed, that defines the basic need of IoT. And that will define the need which sector you are working with. Here, devices could be voice operated. Here, devices could be, you know, uh, sensing light. Here, devices could be sensing humidity, or here, devices could be sensing motion. So these are the devices which will transfer or generate data. So apart from uh, other layers, so this is the start where everything is getting captured first. So data is collected. So data is collected at this level, and then we have a layer of communication attached to it. Then the second layer is network. So the data collected by the sensor is sent on the real-time basis to an server. So this is the uh, where gateways are involved. These data are sent, right? And there is the layer which is receiving it. So this transportation is carried out by internet. So that is why it is Internet of Things. So network layer can be a local network layer when you are processing data in-house, or you can be sending data outside the premises, or your system is deployed on the field and it is mobile as well. So deployment can be stationary or it can be mobile. So from that device, a data is collected and it is sent to an uh, different processing unit, right? So this communication layer is could be by a Wi-Fi device which is connected to your front device, or this device, a network layer could be in a cellular device or cellular mode, which is inbuilt GSM inbuilt in that your device, which is deployed on field, or it could be a wired communication as well. So it could be through fibers, and then the data collected
Dushyant
there
sir,
is transported.
sorry to
Yes.
interrupt, but the slides are not visible to some of the participants. Uh, Kiran sir, can you help?
Actually, Kiran sir has told me, sir, if you can stop sharing and share the screen again, it will be visible to all the participants.
Now it is visible.
Yes, sir, it is visible. Participants, are you able to see the screen?
Can you
Yes.
confirm?
Yes, they have confirmed. One of the participants.
If
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Sir,
you.
you may continue.
someone missed, so it was visible earlier, or how it was? Because when I started, it was visible. At my end, I am not able to, check this.
Sir, it was
That
visible
Hmm.
to I think most of the participants, but for some participants they were unable to see. But now I think everybody is able to see.
Okay, great, perfect. So we'll move forward. Yeah. Yes. So, so we discussed these first 2 points, the perception layer and the network layer. So perception layer is devices. Network layer is basically communication and transfer of data to a unit where we would be processing this data. So coming to the third point here, so which is data processing layer. So what happens here? So a data is received and we need to derive some sense out of this data, right? So there would be devices which are responsible for receiving, storing, then processing and analyzing the collected data. So this is a kind of an data center for us, where data needs to be protected as well. There is deployment of firewalls as well. Cybersecurity is also involved in this. Then the selected data is pushed forward to a server where we have the compute. What would be the server value? How much RAM? How much GB? And then there would be an you know operating system. Then there would be an code deployed to process that raw data and to get insight into the raw data. So this is purely a mix of your hardwares and softwares. So this is where a data is processed. Now that data is processed and there is an actionables. So actionables can be auto actionables, right? So for an example, you have an IoT deployed in logistics. A truck is moving at a speed, and a truck driver is violating certain parameters by driving at a speed which is not permissible. So this data is transferred to an central location, and immediately and device there is present gets an alarm, right? So there's an auto actionable that they can check what are the standards, permissible, not permissible, or they can decline that alarm, or they can allow someone to work because it is on an highway, or it is in the hills, the permissible limit is 40. Certain geofencing has been done that a person can't drive above 40. Then that the driver will get an alarm that you are in a zone which is, it's an hilly zone and you should not be driving above the 40 limit. So that person will get an alarm and the system will react immediately on that. So these types of interventions can be done by the machine itself, and these are fixed interventions, whereas uh, new age interventions where AI comes into play, then it is as per the need basis, machine learning basis, that can also be worked with the or included in this layer. Now, the last layer is something the which is basically the user interface, right? So how to read that data, right? So I talked about logistics. So just a common example, kids traveling in school van, and parents at home, they understand how they are traveling. They can see the pictures as well. The cameras are deployed in the van, and there are parameters, routes followed by the van, where they have gone, and what are the route followed by the van. So that can be also shown over a map to the on the application available with the parents. So that could be one example. So interface design purely depends upon the business, how they want to tailor it for their uh, end users. So, and what is the value they can drive in this. So there can be B2B value, business to business as well, when high end logistic is carried out, in terms of high value goods are carried out from logistics. So client wants to monitor every hour where that goods have reached. So like, you know, multiple cities, the goods are traveling, and then they are reaching the seaport, and the value of the good is quite high. You are exporting something. So people want, or organization want, that end-to-end tracking and the security of the goods. Then there could be,
Dushyant sir, sir,
yes.
may I request you to please share your screen again because most of the participants they are again unable to see the screen.
Is it the hibernation, or now you are able to see or not?
Sir, I think many participants because they are mentioned in the chat box they were able to see earlier, but now they are unable to see. So if you can just stop sharing and start sharing it again, so maybe they are
So I
able to
will
see.
have to do it again and again, I guess, because after some time, this is uh, now it is visible again.
Uh, yes, sir.
Is there
Yes,
any
I'll
time
take.
limit that after certain time limit that it goes off? Is that
No,
the
sir, no.
reason? Hmm.
No, sir. Now
No, no.
now the participants are able to see the screen. They are mentioned and sharing thumbs up also.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Sir, and there is no such setting. It is throughout, I mean,
Hmm.
open for all.
Yeah, okay, okay. No, I'm at I'm at this slide for more than 5 minutes. I was at this slide for more than 5 minutes, or is there some kind of an limit with beyond that it goes off?
No, no, no.
Okay,
It
no,
doesn't.
no worries.
Yes.
I will
Yeah.
just keep on checking as well. Right.
Yes. Yes.
So, so these are the four layers basically, where you know the complete IoT function is happening. This is the architecture of IoT. So In perception layer, we are collecting data. So it itself is an industry, manufacturing devices. So devices are manufactured as per the industry. For agriculture devices, there would be separate manufacturing firm who would be into this business. Then for, if I would say, for fleet tracking, it would be a separate device firm who would be manufacturing, and they have their expertise into that. Then there would be a network layer as well. So this is where the communication happens from one device to the other device. And then the data processing. Data processing is something related to your hardwares and softwares deployed at your business unit, where you are processing that data and making that relevant. Then the last layer is application layer, where the you take actions on the data collected and you get information. So these are the four uh, key pillars, layers of IoT architecture, and this is how it functions. So I, I have not gone into much details, but I will try to get simplify this, right? Because it is technical as well, and each layer is an industry in itself. So it's an manufacturing industry for devices. Second is communication industry. Third is your hardware and software industry. And fourth is your SaaS industry. So these four industries, and for an uh, for a company who is trying to adopt IoT in their businesses, because we are talking about the uh, IoT application in businesses. So if somebody is trying to adopt IoT, so they would be sourcing different things from different vendors, and then they would be combining a solution at their end. So this is also one of the challenges in the industry, where the compatibility integrations of different systems, protocols comes into picture while evaluating the different vendors in the industry. So I will simplify this architecture for you with the help of this slide. So let's understand that this is a smart city. You are able to see my cursor. Can somebody give me an
Yes, sir,
reference?
I am able to see your cursor. Hope the participants are able to see the moving cursors.
Yes.
Yes, I
Yes.
have received a
So,
thumbs. Yes.
yeah. So basically, this is something a smart city, right? So how a smart city can communicate. So these are the devices deployed at various level. There are cameras deployed. There are traffic signals working on that. Then there are parking, public parking. So these are the concept of an smart city. So these sensors are collecting data, and this data is sent by an wireless communication to a cloud platform. There at cloud platform, it is aggregated, and then the modeling of data is done, right? So which data, how we can process that data, right? So with the help of cameras, if you are standing on a zebra line, so you are liable for a ticket, so traffic violation. So this is how you can track your traffic violations. Then, with the help of, say, traffic signal, you can manage your peak hours. If there is certain congestion and you want a mm, uh, you know, traffic, free flow of traffic, then you can have better, uh, sorry, you can have better signal operations, right? So, and the same data processing can help you with, creating green corridors for emergency vehicle or mobility exchange, tracking someone, or reducing the crime on the in city. So this is how a smart city infrastructure can help. Plus, there are many other things in the smart city which are not mentioned here, right? So just to decode the architecture, uh, there are devices deployed like cameras, sensors. Then there is an communication happening from that devices to the cloud platform, and there are virtual machines, VMs, on platforms. And now these cloud platforms can be virtual, present at data centers, and or it can be on-prem as well. On-prem is something where you have a command center and everything is hosted in your premises. So that is on-prem uh, clouds, right? So then you have the applications of that. You there in the control center, if somebody has an application who gets an red alert, and basis that red alert, he issues a ticket. So that those are the applications somebody would be operating it, right? What is the sense out of this is everything what we are doing is to make uh, some output, and the output should be quantifiable. So that is a business output. If you are able to make increased revenue, if there is an value creation, ease of doing business, then this IoT architecture and the expense happening on the architecture makes sense, right? So let's move to the case studies. These are the actual case studies from the industry. So case study one is the smart meter project in Bihar. So 63.55 lakhs of smart meters installed till March 2025. So this is the massive achievement for a state like Bihar, and look out the benefit that they are getting out of it, right? So total smart meter sanctioned smart meters are 172 lakhs, and only 37% has been installed. And the project has gone to some renowned names as well. Some renowned names are working in this industry. In fact, meter project is available in Gujarat, getting implemented in Maharashtra. So some big business houses are involved in this who are implementing these projects, right, for government. And what is the value that everyone is getting out of it? So basically, by smart meter, the 78% communication connectivity among installed meters. So you get the live data there. You are doing the actual billing, so you know when to bill, what to bill, and when to collect. So basically, your revenue is also going up, right? So the acquisition rate is really good in this, and commercial losses has been reduced. This is the biggest part in this. So see, if it is prepaid and you pay in advance for your electricity, then it is nothing like it for the government, right? So you with the prepaid model, you get the OPEX in hand before you bill the consumer, right? So before you provide the services to the consumer also. So the timely revenue collection and consumer empowerment is happening basically, and everything is digitized end to end. So, you know, it creates value for our ecosystem, for government, and for the, electricity distribution companies who want to collect their revenue on time. So in India, we know that we have a challenge when we are not able to get the completely billed revenue. Also, there are challenges when there is an gap in distribution. So there are illegal meters, or there are meters who are deployed, and there are deficiencies in that, and that are causing losses to the uh, government or exchequer. So these all things are getting curtailed. So right set of solution for this industry, definitely catering to the biggest problem, which are commercial losses. This is what the output is. And then these meters, these are the devices with GSM embedded SIM card in this, deployed at consumers end, and they transfer the data. Data transfer is uh, not can be monitored in intervals if you want it bi-weekly or you want it monthly. So those are the features where this device can help. And the cost of communication is very low because the data transferred is not into gigs, it is in KBs basically. So that is how this is cost effective as well. Can you see my second slide? So, my second case study is on,
Sir, it is visible as only case study one, which is smart meter project in Bihar.
yeah, now,
Yes, we can see smart agriculture website.
yes,
Hope
yes.
participants, it's visible to all the participants.
So,
Yes.
with the help of diagram, I'm just trying to give you an understanding. Uh, Smart agriculture is beyond this, basically. This diagram is just for an understanding because there are many things that you can do in smart agriculture. Irrigation is one thing, and then having an controlled environment, greenhouse, those are different applications. Here, devices installed. Who, this device has multiple sensors. One sensor is for surface temperature, then another sensor is for soil, who can where you can check the depths at different depths, the level of humidity as well as your moisture in the soil. And then you have multiple sensors who can check the soil temperature, water content, and the type of soil that you have there. So this, what are the actions when you get this data in hand? So this data is processed, and with the processed data, you apply some science that what are the actionables. So science could be like for certain crops, you need excess water. For certain crops, you need less water. So depending upon the crop which is there, so you can decide upon the actionables, what action a farmer should be taking. So you can deploy more water, you can do irrigation, or you have to work on the crop nutrition, that you have to add some uh, fertilizer, or you should do some pest control. So basis that you can take actions. So this is the front end basically. So when you are taking action, this is the front end, and what is happening in behind is completely different. So a company who is deploying this for you uh, would be charging something from you. So they would be generating certain revenue. And if they are taking certain revenue in return, they will be giving you certain value. So what value is that? So that value is like you get improved output of your crop. So this is what is created. So this is what is end user consuming. But there are units where, businesses who are using this to increase their productivity. So there are contract farming where this is deployed, and you know how to measure the parameters. Or there are greenhouses where you can check humidity and control your crop from remote location as well. And you need very less labor on the farm because everything is controlled, uh, is in the controlled environment, right? So moving forward to my third case study. So this is a very, very common case study, and this has B2B uh, implication. In fact, this was one of the pioneers in adoption. This industry was one of the pioneers in adoption of IoT. So a GPS device is installed in a vehicle, or that GPS device plus there is an additional devices which can monitor the additional functions of your vehicle, like what is the level of your fuel tank. If the fuel tank level has dropped drastically in some minutes, that means fuel uh, has been, you know, been stolen from your vehicle, so that you can detect this when this fuel was stolen from your vehicle. Second, like your vehicle has been driven at an certain speed, and what gear it is into. So if somebody is into neutral gear and uh, they are on a slope, so definitely vehicle will pick up a momentum, and this will save certain fuel to the truck owner or to the driver who and people do that basically, and this is something the behavior a driver should not be adopting it. So a vehicle is driven on high speed on neutral gear, that means there are high chances of having an accident. So you can avoid this when you have the information at hand, and an automated call can be triggered or message can be triggered to the driver, or a handler at the control room can call the driver in person and check that this is the behavior which is being monitored and it is not allowed with your fleet. So, as a logistic industry, this is something which is very, very important. And you will see every logistic industry is using this nowadays. It is like 100% mandatory. So, having a location is one value uh, that you can give it to your client, that your cargo is at that stage, it has reached certain city, now it is so much far from the destination. Those real-time updates that make sense for an organization who is your end customer, but the major sense which comes into play is the safety of the cargo. So how safe is your cargo? How safely your driver is driving the vehicle? So this will help the logistic industry to prevent the mishaps. So, and this already is into place. So, I haven't seen a single logistic firm, even a small logistic firm with five vehicles, will be having this in place. So, this is a very common use case and a very effective use case of this industry. Here, the GPS tracker and the devices, these are generally uh, made in India, but these are imported from China, Taiwan, at much economical
Uh,
value as well.
Sir, I'll request you again to please share the slide because it seems the slides are not visible to some of the participants. If you can stop sharing and share it again.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. One second. Now again, it's there.
Uh, yes, hopefully it is the case study 3 slide is visible to all the participants. Yes, I have received thumbs up, sir.
Yeah, great. So this is the case study, which is very common and very effective. And I have seen this from last 20 years in the industry. And this is the industry which was the early adopter for IoT. So a device here is communicating to an GSM cellular tower from where the signals are sent to an server. Server processes it, they can geofence the location, and they on the mobile phone or on an application, a user can check all the parameters of the moving vehicle. So very effective case study and very common case study. So I will move to the next case study. A very good case study for an. So here the communication is by internet, pure internet. When a vehicle approaches a toll plaza, what happens? There is an uh, this tag, fast tag attached on the vehicle. Then a radio frequency signal is generated uh, by the toll collector. Signal hits this tag and an ID is revealed by the tag in reflection, and that reflected ID is captured by the toll collecting device. From that ID is processed further and is sent to a server uh, to validate which uh, car or which vehicle is it, and then that vehicle ID is sent to your bank and the bank confirms the payment and payment is made, and you and the doors are open so you can move ahead. All this is happening within few seconds, right? So here the communication is happening over an internet to your bank as well as to your the NPCI servers. And in this, the communication is happening in milliseconds, and this communication cannot be done without the internet. But the last mile communication, the front end communication to read the ID is happening on RFID. So basically a radio frequency where this tag is revealing its ID on an reflected signal, radio frequency signal only, but it's reflected by this tag available on your vehicle, and the amount is collected as per the vehicle. Now, understand on the application part, the two things can happen still in the bank validation. So if you don't have an bank balance, so what will happen? So definitely you will be denied the access. Toll crossing will not be allowed. So you will be stagnant there and then you will be paying money, double the amount of money in hard cash, right? So what happened basically? So if you have the money in your bank account or on the wallet, this wallet, then the access is granted or the access is denied. So there are two automated steps taken by the server. So these are the steps, yes or no. Who will decide this? There's no human intervention in this. So basically, it is an automated system, and it was adopted so fast because we are growing at a pace. And if we would have gone with the traditional method, then the queues would have been much longer on toll plazas. So this has helped us in past, and revolution is still coming in this, where you know you will be able to use it much faster. The next level of communication from your vehicle itself, where a device would be embedded with and with your GPS presence on the toll plaza, you will get an immediate access. So free flowing traffic is also possible. Uh, but with FASTag, there is an access which will where you have to have yes or no from that service provider. If you have the bank balance, you get access. If you don't have the bank balance, it gets denied. So how it is checked? It is internet working in along with devices and devices communicating to a server, and then you get in final output. On so this is what private 5G has done in manufacturing. So you can see an assembly line and you can see that every device and this complete assembly line is without any human intervention. So something is processing here, chemicals, then it's been distributed, mixed in proportion, then is formed, and then this complete chain is working on 5G. So there are multiple devices deployed who are performing. And what is here? These are all robotics. So robotics are doing their precise actions in their precise manner, how they have been told to do. And if there is some issue, then you are able to mitigate it beforehand because you know what and wear and tear it is expected. So preventive maintenance, quality control, and you see that there is identical products that is getting delivered, right, with the help of robotics. Real-time precision is there in the manufacturing, and safety and emergency response is on the highest. So, food for thought is like we have done this. I am from the communication industry. We have done this for an manufacturing setup in Pune, and this case study is also available on ATAL website. So what has happened in this case is really commendable. And food for thought is, does this reduce manpower and save something to the organization? The answer is yes. But uh, on the other hand, you can generate employment for IT industry, which we are already pioneered in. So servers, monitoring those servers, having uh, data centers. So this complete leg is divided into multiple parts. But uh, the best part in this is that you get the desired output without any failure, and your revenue grows much faster without any problem. So my last case study is very interesting. So this is an actual news taken from all some online portal. So this news rates like 6.2 lakhs of vehicles wrongly fined on Mumbai Pune Expressway. So people who are from this region would be aware that on Mumbai Express Highway there are cameras. So on every highway there are cameras for traffic monitoring. So what we always see that wrong side driving is a big issue in India. But what happens when the devices are deployed wrong, right? So devices on the first lane are facing the opposite side, and vehicles coming from the opposite side are getting fined. So this has really happened, and fine of amount 12.4 crore was collected in error by the government, and this was an automated system. Just the deployment was wrong, but it's a very effective tool as well. So cameras, motion sensing cameras, who can sense your number plate, who can read your number plate. AI tool can read your number plate on the real-time basis. They can communicate to a server that this was the vehicle coming from the wrong side and was overspeeding, can communicate to your server, and a ticket can be issued to you basis that. So if your co-passenger is not wearing an seat belt, like, so I have experienced this myself, like my co-passenger was not wearing a seat belt, then we got fined because my passenger's photo was quite visible, and
Sir,
co-passengers were.
Dushyant sir, I'm so sorry to interrupt you again and again, but the slide is not visible to some participants. If you can just kindly share it again so that it will be visible.
Yeah, now it is visible. Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir, it is visible now. Yes, sir. Thank you
Okay.
so much, sir. And again, sorry to disturb you and interrupt you in between.
So this is a real life example. So this is again a government project where government has given this tender to one of the organization to monitor the traffic. So cameras are deployed on on highways, and this is the news which I collected from one of the newspaper, and it was there in almost all the newspapers, right? So this is from my side on the case studies. I will take it forward. One second. So I am just a bit of my background. I am from the telecommunications. That's why I just highlighting this. What is the role of TSP? TSP is basically a telecom service provider. So what we do basically, we connect servers and devices. We are the bridge between them. So there are certain government regulations. What the SIM cards which you are using currently, mobile SIM cards, are 10-digit mobile numbers, but there are 13-digit mobile numbers in market, generally issued to a person who is licensed by Sanchar Bharti to work in IoT domain. So anyone who is having the IoT business would be procuring this from an TSP, and these mobile numbers are 13-digit mobile numbers. If somebody if somebody is from the IoT industry, they would understand that what is 13-digit mobile number. It is the same mobile number as 10-digit, but it is 3 digits or more, right? So for someone, it could be a surprise ki there are such solutions available in market as well, or government has regulated this market. Yes, government has regulated this market because machines are communicated to machines, and if there is a certain wrong communication happening, so government should be aware about it. So every communication, internet and or cellular communication, there are regulation and compliance to be followed by a communication provider or connectivity provider. So these are certain parameters that which we provide to an IoT service provider who uses our services to make this platform. So the IoT is mix of multiple industries. So somebody who is deploying IoT is basically procuring certain devices. So there is device component manufacturing industry who is surviving on this. Then that device is communicating with the help of a network. Then there is an operating system deployed on that device there itself. The network comes into play, which it can be a local network, and then it could be a telecom service provider who helps to provide the internet connectivity to the devices. Then there is IT hardware, servers, switches, routers, firewalls that comes into play. And then the cloud compute, that is the fixed compute which provides you the products or SaaS product which you have developed to perform a function. Then there are data centers to host this cloud computes, right? And then there's the software, machine learning, and AI involved. So look at the number of industries associated with IoT. So IoT itself is an industry which is run by multiple vendors, and these are the vendors who are regulating or who are contributing to the growth of the industry. So, what are the challenges in IoT? So, this is my last leg of presentation. So, cybersecurity is one of the challenge. Uh, so nowadays we see in organizations there used to be one special designation which is called CTO. So CTO is someone who is chief technical officer of an organization who manages the technology inside the organization. But now there is an another need and another senior resource needed for cybersecurity, and the designation for that is CISO. So basically, chief information security officer are needed in companies where you have heavy dependency on networks, and you have data stored at your end, or you are processing data, because data breach can impact anyone in the country. So if I would say, the where is the next war happening? Where daily wars are happening, which are not visible to us, and those are cyber wars. So this is the level of seriousness here. So, because the lack of cybersecurity awareness, definitely some people refrain themselves that they won't be investing in IoT, and there would be challenges in IoT. End-to-end subscription is required when devices are communicating with each other. So, encryption helps to communicate better and makes your network secure with firewalls. So there is uh, much investment in IoT. So data privacy is one thing which we need to protect. And then there is, technical limitations as well, where there are multiple fragmented protocols to communicate with the devices and servers. So, and you need to choose your vendor, which vendor is right, which vendor is wrong, right? So, which will be able to integrate with your system, and you will be able to retain certain legacy systems. So to retain the legacy system, certain protocols will work, certain will not work with your systems. So this is how an evaluation is done by an organization. So another one thing is inconsistent internet network, because we know that fiber presence is not there. So to every last mile. So there are certain challenges in deployment of fiber, because fiber needs protection, and everywhere you don't have protected fiber network underground in cities. So most of the time we have to rely on cellular network, right? And cellular network has certain restraints as well. So it depends that which environment you are present in. Rural, definitely our fiber reach need to increase, because the number of towns we connect on fiber, and then the places that we connect on fiber, will help the internet to grow on a faster pace. Scalability and integration challenges, which I spoke about, and these are there. And there are economical and organizational barriers that in the evaluation stage itself, when we are implementing IoT in manufacturing industries. So traditional method of manufacturing, and when you want to adopt new manufacturing, organization face internal challenges to convince everyone and to bring on board to make the changes in the organization setup. So this is how it impacts the industry in a negative way. So if people are skillfully available at every end, so decision making is very easy. But what happens, an organization thinks that if I adopt IoT, my current workforce will not be qualified enough to handle the new system. So I will have to do away with my certain positions. I will have to migrate, or I have to adopt certain new roles in the organization. So new skill set will be required in for the organization, and people are not able to take certain calls because of certain values they drive from the traditional methods. So this is from my side, and hope I am able to communicate the complete IoT uh, uh, portfolio or outlook to you. Uh, I am open for Q&A now.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. This was very elaborative. And so participants, the forum is now open for Q&A. You may share your queries in the chat box. We request our co-coordinator to kindly announce the questions that are posted in the chat box to our speaker.
Everyone was able to see my slides, and
Yes. Yes, sir. So we have received one question. One of the participants, they want to know that is end-to-end encryption enough to ensure IoT security, or do we need to have some additional measures to do the same, sir?
So end-to-end inscription is just one layer, and this will not help. So definitely we need cyber security experts. So IoT is mix of multiple industries. So without cybersecurity on board, you won't be able to proceed further. Definitely you need, apart from inscription, you need quality firewall or you know things which can help to mitigate challenges, malware attacks, or some or on that lines, DDoS. So that is also there. So distribution of denial of services. So that is where complete expert is required on cybersecurity side.
Okay. So thank you so much. Now I have two questions. So one is, what is the future scope of IoT in India, specifically when everyone is going online? And one of the participants have also asked that how it is helping in farming for quality control. So I have merged to basically two questions. So one is future scope and second one is farming.
So basically, the third one is the answer for second one, I would say.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So we know we are farming nation, and we can do much better by adopting new ways of farming. When we say new ways of farming, that we know what climate we have in India. So every zone, geography have different climates, right? Every season is different. If you are able to control anything with the help of IoT, that adds value to the farming, right? So, what are the levels that help us to take action is like the how is the moisture in your soil, or what are the devices. So pumps are deployed with IoT. So there are irrigation systems which are deployed by IoT. So right, so you can ensure that every sector or every place inside your farm is equally addressed with the help of IoT and with lesser labor, or you are able to monitor. So when there is fruit farming, when trees are tall, or when you want to monitor, you deploy drones as well to understand, and the images collected from there, they give you the inputs as well. What are the threats on the farm, and how you can mitigate those threats by pest control or something, or people in the organic farming are also utilizing this.
So I think it was also mentioned in one of the case studies which you have shared that how it is moisture control is covered. So I think that also will be a value add.
Yes, yes.
Sir, one of the participants, they want to know that how do companies balance between data privacy and need for constant data collection in IoT devices? Of course, this will generate a lots of data, and data
So,
security is
so data security takes at most high value when you are collecting consumer data,
hmm,
basically. So when your product is deployed to end consumer, like the first case study itself, right? So, how many connections are there in Bihar? What are the consumption level of these connections? So, which area is consuming more electricity? Which area is so these data is really vulnerable, and somebody can plan their own business or marketing if this data is available in open, right?
yes.
So, we need to protect that data, and that is why the privacy is very much important. And when IoT is deployed, you know where your that meter is deployed. So you know physically where it is present. You know someone's address. You know someone's behavior or electricity consumption value. So these are the privacies that organization has to maintain, and somebody who has taken this solution always signs a document what kind of value will be shared, and they also assures that this will be protected, this data will be protected.
That's true, sir. And with this, I mean, I'm able to relate this. You mentioned that there are certain datas which needn't need to be need not to be shared, but still there is a problem with cyber security. And so one of the participants they have asked that, as you mentioned earlier, that cyber security is still a challenge, and even laws are not that well developed in a particular area. So what real-time practices that organizations take to ensure the security of data, as data is one of the biggest asset and treasure in today's tech world. So
So I assume that you would be having a detailed session on cybersecurity as well, but definitely uh, cybersecurity is the center of every organization now. So, and you will see in newspapers as well, or in the many forums where it is talked openly that it's a need and people are adopting it. So organizations are adopting it. So at organization level, so data is stored inside the organization. To breach that data, so there are multiple layers of security. So one is firewall. So you know which type of file is coming. So when a attacks comes on your server, so it doesn't come in single day. The deployment by an hacker could be happening in months. So like one file will come, one packet will come, then in another one packet will come. Or this takes time. So if somebody is a good hacker, will do that. But there are organizations who knows how to mitigate that, right? So uh, there are solutions available. First is that there is solution available. Preventive solutions are available so that your system is not open and it is encrypted and people are not able to breach openly. Point number one. And then there are multiple layers of security. So that is also available. And then you can talk about like uh, what happens if the breach is there. So how quickly you can sandbox or isolate the data from the uh, network itself. So the first thing is like if you suspected breach, how you quickly you can determine, and then you can take that data off the grid so that you can repair it and then you can place it at the same location. So sandboxing is there of data. So that is also there, the first level of parameter to how to mitigate. And then there are tests available in market. So we call it cyber penetration testing is available. So experts do testing of your network and they give you a report that where are the vulnerabilities, and the basis that report you always deploy adequate systems to mitigate the future challenges.
okay. So thank you so much. And now next question is a very interesting one. So I think this must be from one of the students. They wanted to know that with IoT growth, which we can see in next 5 years, so what skills young professionals have to have in order to like make a career out of it and build professional journeys around it. And again, there are two questions around it. So
So there would be not a single skill set required. So like in last 10, 15 minutes, we have spoken about cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is not complete IoT, right? It's just
yes.
then protection of your data. So there are multiple skill set required, and this is not related directly to IoT, or it would be related indirectly to IoT. So both ways, the skill set could be technical. So it could be networking. You can be a networking expert who can contribute to the communication of devices. Somebody could be in electronics, could have a better understanding of sensors, who can mass produce sensors, and you can have better sensors and quality in house. So that is one thing. And then there could be servers, computes, somebody who's into SaaS development, products, application development. So application development is something which is very common, and when you are developing an application, software is needed. So these are the skill set, basic skill sets. Apart from that, these are technical skill set. Apart from that, there are skill sets required to sell these products in market, to create value and revenue for this in market. So definitely understanding of business, how it will help, and you are able to present that business to someone so that they can adopt it. And that is very common and skill set that everyone can adopt very easily.
Okay, sir. So thank you so much. I mean, I hope this will provide guidance to the students. So one last question which I wanted to take. This is the last question. So one of the participant, Dr. Harsha, she wants to know that if we are using IoT for non invasive medical diagnostics, then what challenges would be faced and how to mitigate it?
So, uh, so this is something, you know, challenges if I talk about. So on on YouTube, I was just searching one video. I was going through one video. So there's one ethical hackers, and he has his own organization based out of Chandigarh, right? So they did an penetration testing for one of the hospitals in US, right? So when somebody who is in ICU, and and s- you can breach into the security system, he was able to breach into the security system, and uh, the patient vitals were available with him, and he was able to, you know, he was able to reach to a level where he can command the control over the devices. So this is where I would say ki, these are the challenges, first of all, and but definitely very few people can do this in the world, and this requires a lot of practice, right? And but this doesn't stops the industry, right? So when we talk about telemedicine, when you know your vitals are there, and you are there are devices on your body which are monitoring the organs, different organs, and sending the live data to your doctor or to your medical practitioner, so they are able to take sound decision at right time. So right, so when to in your recovery journey, when to change your medicines, and when to help you to come faster out of an say disease. So this is where these devices come into play, right?
Okay, so thank you so much for answering all the participants' questions. And now I'll pass on the uh, I'll pass on the desk to Dr. Gopa.
Thank you, Pratha, and thank you so much, sir, for such an enlightening session on applications of IoT in business. Sir, your insights on how IoT is totally transforming the industries, whether through streamlining the supply chain management or enhancing customer experiences. When you spoke about the IoT infrastructure and especially the cases that you have explained, or the shaping of future of smart cities, all throughout was very thought provoking, and we especially valued the way you connected global innovations with opportunities in the Indian business landscape. This gave us a broader vision on and practical takeaways. And sir, on behalf of all the participants and IMDR, we extend heartfelt gratitude to you for sharing your expertise, experiences, and valuable time with us today. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us and gracing this FDP.
Thank you, everyone. All pleasure was mine.
Thank you so much, sir. Uh, we now move on to our next session, session 4, And this session will focus on the role of cloud computing in modern communication. And it gives me immense pleasure to introduce our speaker for this session, Mr. Sanjay Bhargava. Mr. Bhargava is currently associated as a mentor academic track with MCCIA Pune for the Cybersecurity and with Academia initiative. And with an extensive experience of 39 years in the IT industry, he has held significant roles in various organizations. He has served as the Chief Technology Officer at Microsoft ERP Solution and as the IT Director at Deccan Education Society, where he implemented a cloud-hosted ERP solution and Microsoft Teams for over 50,000 students during the COVID pandemic. His experience also includes key positions at IBM India, where he was Technology Solution Leader for Information Security and Technology Infrastructure Support. Sir, we are truly honored to have you with us today, and I invite you to begin this session. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And Gopa Madam, one correction in the introduction. It is not CTO of Microsoft ERP, it is Mastersoft, just a small correction. But then, yeah,
My
a lot of
apologies,
people
sir.
know about Microsoft, but they would not have heard about Mastersoft. So, but it's primarily Mastersoft. Yes, but then thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity. I was enjoying the previous session on the IoT, which was very enlightening. I attended only 10-15 minutes, but I think it was the question answers and the topic were sounded very interesting. So I will now take some time with you guys to talk about the role of cloud computing in modern communication. So you'll let me share my slides with you and then proceed from there. Okay, so can you guys see my slide, which I've screen, which I've shared with you?
Yes, sir.
Good, thank you. And is my audio clear? Is there any lag or something?
Yes, sir.
No,
Yes,
sir,
so
it's
it's audio
completely
is
fine.
clear.
Okay, perfect. So I have got, I think, hour and a half with me, maybe up to 9 p.m. So I'll try and finish it by 9 p.m. And I know it's pretty late for all of you, but we'll try and bear with you guys. And I'll share my slides. So basic agenda is we'll start with basics, So I know people are from various backgrounds, so we don't know who is from which stream, People would be there from computer science, people would be from non-technology backgrounds. So I'll try to make it simple so that everybody who's in the call can understand. So people who are from technology, for them, they might know the topic, but there would be some key messages for them as well in terms of the risk, etc., which they should be aware. So I'll challenge them later on with the additional questions for them. But overall, I'll try to keep it very simple, looking at the audience which is here. So we'll talk about the basics. We'll talk about the importance of modern communication for faculty. That is, most of the people who are in the call are faculty on this faculty members. So why it is important for them. Briefly, we'll talk about it. How does modern communication work? Again, I'll talk in very simple terms that what is required to make it work. Then we will move on to cloud computing. We'll talk about modern communication tools. That is the main topic which we have in hand, and the various pros and cons of cloud computing and the future trends in communication. So as far as I said, let's start with the basics. So we'll talk about the definition of communication. So I've taken it from the Webster dictionary. And in summary, it very clearly, everybody knows that you are using communication every day in and day out. But for this topic purpose, it's very clear that it's a communication which is one-to-many, one-to-one, or many-to-many. It could be any of those or many-to-one as well. So this is what I would try to cover in this scope as far as the communication is concerned. And as far as communication is concerned, if you look at the classical definition, then any type of communication, that is, whether we used to write letters or even newspaper or class lecture or SMS, WhatsApp messages, all of them are communication. So again, the coverage of communication is wide, and without communication in today's date, even earlier also, we cannot live. Human beings are born to communicate. So I'll move forward, then talk about what is modern communication. So modern communication in simple definition are which uses computing devices and digital media. So computing devices, when we are using mobiles, laptops, or any of pagers or any of those tools which are there, or television or tablets, and any kind of digital media we consume, yeah, like YouTube or something, all that is digital media. So any communication which is happening with all these devices, in my, from my purpose of this call, it is what I would define as modern communication. So if you see emails, social media, WhatsApp, everything is, in my opinion, a modern communication. Or we talk about Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, Zoho, Geo Meet, etc. They are also modern communication. This meeting which we are doing today is happening thanks to the modern communication tools which is available. Without that, we could not have assembled at, when with everybody at their home or office or wherever location or in a car, they could not have attended this meeting without having those modern communication tools available. Earlier, if we had to do this session, we would have to invite everybody, or I would have to travel to multiple locations and communicate. But here, today, there are 200 plus or 243 people online right now who are able to attend. And that is the power of modern communication, which we are using right now. The other tools which are there, SharePoint or Coursera, Khan Academy, knowledge management tools, MOOCs, etc. These are all communication tools, and including the ERP system which you use in your college as a student or a faculty member, they are also for use for communication as well as for processing. Your college website is also a tool which is for modern communication. Now, basically, if you look at how it has evolved in last 10 years, earlier traditional method was face-to-face letters or email. When it came to SMS, that was little rudimentary, or static web pages, social media pages. But then today it is with all these cloud-powered platforms, Zoom or net meeting or the tools which we are using today, Microsoft Teams. They are all modern communication tools, which are on cloud. And the impact is it is faster, borderless, and multi-device. When we say faster means today, people can communicate on real time across the globe without, today also we have, I don't know how many people are from out of India, but most of them would be from various multiple states or cities, and they could be on any device. People would be attending it from mobile, tablets, or desktops or laptops. So it is again the device agnostic. Now, why is modern communication important for faculty? Because faculty's primary job is to teach and do mentoring and collaboration, which they rely on communication only. So primary, other than what research faculty members does, their primary job is day in and day out is only communication. Okay, so when they teach, it is only without communication, they cannot teach. Without communication, they cannot mentor. Okay, so that's why it is important. Then today's date, modern communication extends beyond the classroom. We can have, thanks to with NEP requirements or the new education policy, we expect students to join a class or from anywhere in the country, or maybe they could be outside the world. People are attending or doing MBA classes from US or UK or Australia or Singapore sitting in India, and vice versa. So even our management institutes are offering courses outside for students who are outside India. So IMDR might have students who are outside from Afghanistan or any other country, and they could also enroll and attend classes. So faculty must engage across physical and digital platforms for better reach. And that is why it is important for you all to be aware of how cloud communication works or modern communication works over the cloud. And what are the pros and cons. And that's the primary objective why we are having this meeting. Now, for any communication, or at least the modern communication to work, all of them need computers. Server computers are required. You need internet and client computers, as I told about these clients, which you all have at your position. You all have access to internet, but something is behind this to make it work, and there are various server computers which are behind. Then they also need a lot of software. Various kind of software is required, whether you use Microsoft Teams or it is running on Linux or Unix servers or Windows server. And these could be either free or it could be subscription based. Microsoft Teams, which we are using right now, few of you who are from the faculty would be using subscription based. For example, I'm using a free version, which is not from the institute. So these are various methods you could join. All of them need huge storage media. So if you are using YouTube or you are using any online courses or you are delivering Coursera kind of platforms are there, they all require huge storage media for storing all the video content and the rich content which you use for your students or for presentation. And all of them require security and data privacy. Okay, so that is a primary requirement. And with all this given, you can have you can have a modern communication platform working. Now, this is a very simple topology of how a communication would work. This is from I've taken it from Cisco, where if we are talking of a unified messaging application. When we talk about video, audio, or text, SMS text, or any kind of documentation, then that becomes that is called as unified messaging application, and that uses a PSTN network, that is telecommunication network, or you use internet. Somehow you connect to the internet. You connect to the internet using an IP network, and behind them you have got various kind of servers: directory server, message server, paging server, SNMP server. Again, this is a little old architecture. It is not showing how Microsoft Teams would be working, but it just shows you a typical architecture that there are multiple computers, multiple equipment, a lot of type of devices which are required to make the communication work. It's not very simple, but it's a very complicated set of architecture to deliver a scalable solution. Now, people who are from non-IT background or from various faculty, they would not know what is a server, or they might know server, but again, there are various kind of servers which are there. So we'll just take a slide to define what is a server. So servers are of various types. Earlier, people would have desktop server in their labs or something or next to their desk, and they would be working on it. But then they have got rack servers. These rack servers are put into in a server rack, so that a high performance server equipment can be made. So this is how the server is there, and server provides data or resources to clients over a network. That's a simple definition which I've used. It generally a very high-end computer with software, and it listens to incoming requests. So the client will request a service, and the server will respond to it. Generally, there is something called a client-server model, where the clients, like your browsers or your devices like Microsoft, whatever you are using, they have an app or a browser which sends a request and the server responds to it. There could be various types of servers: web server, which is delivering your websites. There is file server, which shares files; mail server, database server, again, which services database; and app server, plus etc. There could be many more servers based on the needs. And the features which we expect from the servers they are supposed to be reliable, scalable, or secure. Let's move forward. So after the servers, we move to data center. A data center is a dedicated physical facility that centralizes an organization's IT operations and equipment. It is designed for housing multiple servers. Now, we talked about earlier one server, but if you see the diagram, a typical data center would have multiple, maybe hundreds of servers which are there, which are used by a large organization. So, for example, I would say IMDR, but IMDR or Deccan Education Society or any of IIMs or etc., they might have a data center. And if they have a data center, they would have multiple computers for various purposes. Some computers would be for your communication, but others would be for their processing or storage of content which your students have made, or storing assignments, etc. Anything could be there. But generally these data centers are situated within a corporate headquarters, or they could also be later on leased from somewhere else. Now, the expectation from a well-managed data center is that it should be highly available, with built-in redundant power supplies, cooling systems, and high-speed secure network. It has to be security have to be there. That is physical security, where people can swipe in, swipe out with CCTV cameras and all kind of equipment to make sure that your server room is secure. Okay. Similarly, you don't want unauthorized people to go into the a server data center and either access the data or harm the system. You don't want them to unplug any equipment or copy any data from there. It has to be scalable as well, so allow businesses to easily and add more servers if required based on their need, and it has to have a pool of resources, centralized resources to ensure the reliable access. You also need a lot of engineers to keep it up to date. And that is what in a typical data center would look like. Now I'll move forward again, that what are the pros and cons of a in-house data center. It is perceived to be secure. There is a small spelling mistake out here. I apologize for that. So it is perceived to be secure, not directly connected to the internet. Normally we think that a data center is there, so it would be there. But then if it is not connected to this internet, hopefully it is secure. But again, people can have unauthorized access. So that is where but then people can have at least sense of security that it is within my premises. I can control who has access and who does not have access. It is you can give internet access, but via firewalls and VPN gateways. And you have your own ownership over there with the data, and whatever you have equipment is your own with you. But the risk or the cons are that very high capital cost is there. If you want to create a data center, it runs into several crores, because you need to have a raised flooring, you need to have multiple air conditioners, not only one set or two sets, but you need to have backup air conditioners also. You need backup power supply from two grids, multiple grids, so that if one grid fails, you get supply from another grid. You also need UPS and DG sets to ensure if the power supply goes, then you have DG set running. And then all of them have got high maintenance cost. You need resources, you need upgrades, you need licenses, you need a backup data center as well. If your primary data center goes down, you need to have a little at a remote location, a distant data center, or some kind of backup and recovery mechanism. You also need a high demand or scalability of network, with high bandwidth. So not one network, you might need two networks, one from, let's say, Airtel, another from Jio or from Tata Telecommunication or somewhere else, because what happens if their service goes down? You need an automatic switching over there. You need on-demand scalability as far as compute is concerned. And last but not the least, whatever equipment you have put, you also want to ensure that it is utilized. Normally in our environment, especially with in Indian context or in your college, your classes happen from 9 a.m. to, let's say, 6 p.m. or maybe, so you will keep your data center on from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. But after that, from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., generally the data resources are underutilized or not utilized. What can we do to utilize it? So that is underutilized equipment is there. You have spent so much of money, but people are not using it in the night. Earlier, it used to happen. I remember when I was young, I visited IIT Kanpur, and I'm talking of 1980s. That time, people used to work 24/7 on their data centers or computer centers because compute was less available. Students were there, and students used to get a time slot. They used to get 1 hour, 2 hours in the midnight. Somebody would get at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. So they will run the computer throughout the night so that students can access, and students have to wake up in the night to access and do their assignment. That used to be the days several years ago, But today people expect, they can access from home, and they would expect it during the daytime. I'll move forward from here. We'll now move to what is cloud computing, Now, definition of cloud computing is it delivers IT services. Again, whatever is in the data center, it is delivered via internet, So these are even bigger data centers. Cloud computers are there. That's why I defined the term data center for you earlier. These are huge data centers which have consumed even more power supply, and but then the primary requirement is it delivers services over internet, and it allows you to do faster innovation, gives flexible resources, and it is cost efficient. Okay, so why does it become cost efficient? We'll talk about it here. It's probably because of utilization. I talked about in the previous slide that equipment in your data center is not utilized throughout the night. But if you are on cloud computing, people might be using the services all across the globe. So during the night time, we might of America, we might be it is daytime in India, we might be accessing their resources, and vice versa. During daytime in India or nighttime in India, people in US can access the resources here in India. So It allows you for higher utilization of resources. It is cost efficient because you don't need upfront hardware, because whosoever has set up the data center or cloud computing equipment, if I am a consumer or if I'm an institute, if I want to use services from cloud, I don't have to buy all the equipment and wait for a half a year or 6 year or a year to set up a data center. You would know that people who are working in in your various institutes, they know that if they want to buy an equipment, they have to first budget for it, then give a request for the equipment to be purchased. You place a order for the equipment. It will take, the hardware vendor will take 3 months to 6 months or a year, depending on your requirement. And they will deliver after maybe 6 to 8 to 10 months, the equipment is delivered. And after that, it will take a month or 2 months to configure it, or sometimes it takes years. If it is a very complex hardware or a mainframe kind of hardware, it takes a lot of time to set up. Yeah. So the advantage on a cloud computing is the on-demand provisioning can be there. Today, if I need a computer online, within 10 minutes of, I can subscribe to a server as per my requirements, and it does not take much time. I need to have my credit card with me. And if you have your card and money with you, you can get the equipment right away. It allows you to get global scale. So if you have a demand, for example, during COVID time, if you wanted, 10,000 more students to get online, you can do it online, So it's very easy, and you can get resources across the geography. So if my cloud center in India, for example, if I'm subscribed something from Microsoft Azure, if Azure does not have resources in the data center in India, they can extend it to Singapore. If our contract allows them, they can move the resources to Australia or US or whenever they are. So that's why the resource scaling can happen across the geography. It allows, as I told you earlier, better utilization of resources. And they also utilize resources thanks to automation and virtualization. We'll talk about the one slide in the next 1 or 2 slides, which will talk about what tools they use. But generally on cloud, if I request a server, it is automatically allocated to me. There is no human intervention in between. You will get your server as per your requirement without any intervention, and a virtualized server. And it doesn't matter what size, color, etc. is there. You will get your resources and you can access via internet. It gives you higher productivity because very few people are required. You don't, the organization which is requesting the service, they don't have to have highly technical resources. All the high-end resources might be, or people would be there with the cloud center, and they can manage hundreds of servers across the globe, not even hundred, thousands of servers. One person might manage 100 servers sitting at his desk, or he might be sitting at his home and managing hundreds of servers across the globe. That's how the productivity is gained. The performance is via low latency and global data centers. You generally, they allocate, these cloud service company will give you a server which is closer to your location so that your latency is low. And there is high reliability because these data centers have got all kind of, backup equipment, whether it is power supply or whether it is internet or even giving you redundant servers, So if I have subscribed, if I paid, I can get a backup server in a different center. So depending on my requirement, they can set up in such a way that within a couple of minutes, I can swing from one server to the server. Now, there are securities. The way they implement security is via strong policies and controls from the providers. They have a lot of controls there to implement security. So this is, in summary, a very simple slide in terms of what is meant by cloud computing. Now, there are various types of cloud computing. You might have heard about public cloud. The one which we are using right now is over a public cloud that is third-party owned. It could be Amazon Web Services or Azure. Microsoft Teams works on Azure, so we are using currently for this call, we are on Azure. Then there is something called private cloud, which is exclusive to use by one organization. So for example, if suppose any institute which is on the call, for example, I would say any engineering institute like say Ajinkya Institute is there, they want a private cloud, they can subscribe with Azure or AWS, will say that I need a cloud which is only for my exclusive use. The AWS or Azure will set it up for them, Some organizations, they need hybrid cloud. That is, partially they use public cloud and private cloud for flexibility. Normally, I have seen in my experience, like my clients like Citibank, etc., banks would use public and private cloud. Public cloud would be for any kind of apps or services which they publish, and private cloud would be for in-house processing of various kind of data. So that way, the private cloud functionality is not exposed outside, but private cloud will provide a gateway or provide necessary data for them to publish to the public cloud. But then they try to separate, so any highly confidential information or proprietary kind of application would be on private cloud, and public facing products or services would be on public cloud. And then there is a term called sovereign cloud also, which ensures that data, its processing, storage remains within specific geographic or jurisdictional boundaries. Now, example could be like Government of India, or if wants some services, for example, they might mandate for, as per the contracts, that our data will remain within India. We want, if there is an illegal issue, we would like to be having the data within the country. We don't want it to be in other country, because if the data is in any other country, and if they want to access or call because of legal requirement, then they have to go to the court of the other country. Or US, for example, if the data center was in US, then they would have to go by and abide by the US laws. They would have to request the US lawmakers, and then only they would get an access, and it takes time. Okay, so that's why sometimes for some services, sovereign cloud is important, and that is what is used. Then there are various types of services which are offered by all these cloud computers. One is infrastructure as a service, where you rent the infrastructure. So for example, your institute might say that, oh, you just give me the servers, we will load all this software on it. So you will rent the equipment, but on the cloud, but you will manage it yourself. You will install your software. You will have your own engineers who will make sure that the backup is taken. They will configure. So what you are getting is only the bare hardware which is on the internet connected. They will give you the IP addresses, and then you can configure and do whatever you want. Then the next is called as a platform as a service, where people would have development tools. Generally, developers use it, which has got all the other. You don't have to manage the infrastructure, but then they give you all the environment. That is, let's say Google developers have got access, or even Azure gives you access, where you can do your development work, but all the software which you are using is installed by the cloud company. But what you are using is you are renting out that software. You are using the licenses in a shared manner, but that whatever project you are running, you will only have access. But then you have got partial maintenance of the services done by the cloud maintenance company. Next is software as a subscription-based software delivery, software as a service, where you use services such as your let's say ERP system. It could be a subscription which is installed on the cloud. So, for example, the company where I used last, Mastersoft, they had their ERP system which was used by multiple clients of theirs, and they would charge license fee or usage-based fees based on the number of students from their clients. But it is subscription-based software delivery installed on the cloud. But what Mastersoft did was they would rent the infrastructure from the cloud service. Then they will install their own software and deliver software subscription-based software delivery. Next is unified communication as a service. What we are using right now for this call, let's say Microsoft Teams, is one of the unified communication service. Google Meet, etc. They are examples of unified communication as a service. And last is, I would not say last right now, because there are more and more services which will keep coming in. As of now, for this presentation, this is something which is called serviceless, which is event-driven auto-scaled functions. For example, a service which you are taking, for example, converting your PDF document to or doing translation service of a PDF document. That could be a service application which is offered on the cloud as an API, which you can use it and based on your need. So you are taking only a small service which is event driven. You request, your service gets done, and you might use that service multiple times. So a lot of people use these services for translation or any kind of encryption or whatever they would like to do as a use as a common utility service. These are some of the tools. I will not go into details of these tools, what they are, but there are multiple tools which are used for deploying. For example, let's say Docker. Docker is packaging an application which is there and which can be deployed into multiple servers on demand or wherever you require. And they use tools like Kubernetes, which will deploy these Docker services across wherever you want based on your requirements. So this is just to give you an example of how various kind of, and this is again a sample of tools. There are many more tools which are used for deploying your services on cloud. These are the major players in cloud computing. Globally, you would see Google, AWS, Azure, IBM, etc. They are all global companies. And in India, they have Tata Communications, NextGen, NetMagic, Control-S, CFI, Airtel, etc. They are also providing the services right now. Now, when we say global, means Google, AWS, Azure, IBM, they all have data center cloud servers in India as well. So it's not that they are only, they might have cloud servers across the globe. Similarly, Indian companies also have their cloud services in India, and they might have some servers or send data centers or lease data centers outside India to provide their services. I'll just take a water break. Hold on. Now, once we have defined what is cloud computers, how it works, now we'll come to the main topic in terms of what are the modern communication tools which are using cloud computing. So earlier, I remember when I got my first Yahoo Mail or Gmail, Yahoo Mail I got is in 1996, 97, when it was started. And that was the first time when I started using a cloud-based solution. So a lot of people, all of you are using Gmail, etc. But there were one type of cloud services. Today we are using all unified communication platforms, which we just now talked about: Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and green, which I have showed, Zoho, which is an Indian product. We'll talk about why I have shown these in green when we talk about other issues with the risks which are there with using these services. The impact, what is the impact of cloud computing on modern communication? First of all, it gives you integration of various tools. So if you have used Microsoft Teams or if you have used Microsoft 365, it bundles a lot of software for you, which you can use for communication. And I'll go into detail when I go forward. Then there are various kind of, it offers you scalability, flexibility, remote data access, seamless communication, and real-time sharing. For example, this slide which I'm sharing is over the real-time sharing, which we're doing right now. There is a question, I guess, or a hand has been raised. Just a second, let me look at the chat. Richa, if you can check what is the chat, what is the request?
Yes, sir. So the person has written hi, but I will request the participants who want to ask the question to kindly post the question in the chat box.
Okay, so I'll move forward. We'll take the questions in the end, unless there is a question on clarity. Otherwise, I'll try to answer all of them in the end. Yeah?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll talk about various kind of, you are aware of these, but there are people who are not aware or coming from different backgrounds. Microsoft 365 Suite is one of the very popular ones, especially in the education community, because Microsoft encourages, they give a very good deal. In fact, the cost of, for example, when I use the services in Deccan Education Society, if you buy one license for one faculty member, you get license for 40 students is free. So if I pay for one faculty license, I will get 40 student licenses free. So that was the advantage of using Microsoft 365 Suite. It has got Word, Excel, which everybody uses, PowerPoint, Outlook. All of these tools are inbuilt. So most of the businesses today are using, because people are using Word, Excel. It's become a de facto office automation tool, and people do not want to use any other open source tools. And I have got experiences over there where at one time in my career, especially when I was working in IBM wanted to, for IBM, Microsoft is a competition. Yeah. And IBM wanted to move towards using open source software, and Linux. We had huge resistance from the company, a lot of people, developers, that they did not want to move to Linux or open source platforms for their word processing, etc. They were all using Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So that just gives you an example of the advantage which Microsoft gets by giving free or low cost services to students. They become dependent on them for forever, for life. And that's one of the issues which again I wanted to highlight, that it is an advantage also, but it is a disadvantage as well, that once they become addicted to these tools, and when they go back to working in their businesses or corporates, they pay by nose, but they have to pay heavy license fees for using these products. So that's one of the issues. But again, there's nothing against Microsoft, but again, we have to be aware of what happens when you are using free services. But then the key features are they're cloud-based. It gives you real-time collaboration, enhanced security. There are a lot of features. There are people who are on the call. I know who have worked with me in the past. They know the type of security which Microsoft team gives. You have all control in terms of who can log in from what location. They can do auditing of what services they are using, etc., etc. So I'll move to the next slide. Zoho. Zoho, again, I've showed it in green. I don't know if green is visible or not. It's a made in India product. Okay, and Zoho also offers many products over cloud. They have email solutions, storage and file management, collaboration tools. But they also have, in addition to this, they have got ERP and several software. I think it's one of the best cloud services company which is offering global solutions across to many people. So I would encourage people to try Zoho for their services if they can. Google's Workspace, again, it's available for students and faculty. It's available for free, and for other people, it is as a paid service. It is available. So they also provide you Gmail, Google Meet, Google Chat, Google Calendar, Google Docs, and Google Forms, etc. So Google Meet is there, but it is not as feature rich as what you see with Microsoft Teams. So if I have to compare Microsoft Teams with other products, I would rate Microsoft Teams at one of the best which gives you, especially for educational institutions where it gives you all the products with very rich functionality, and high scalability. You can have 10,000 people join a meeting, or even more than that if required, if you have got the requisite license. And Google also have got, but then for educational institutions, if they are using the free services, there are limitations. But then nevertheless, the advantage with Google services, it's for students and faculty, it's a zero cost solution. Then there is Zoom, which it became very popular, as you know, during the pandemic. So many people were using Zoom, and it has become a lingo that I'm on a Zoom call. Zoom call would be any online meeting would be called as a Zoom call. But then again, this is specifically only a unified communication platform. They don't have other solutions like what Microsoft or Google has. But nevertheless, it is also one of the best tools which are available. Then other solutions would be ERP solutions. Again, real world example would be many of your colleges are using a ERP solution. So when you are doing attendance notifications to students via ERP, again, that in my opinion, that's the cloud-based solutions which you are using it. You have got, when you issue circulars, you approve the leave request, or you disseminate the grade reports, or you send fee reminders. All that is also available on cloud. So there are people still using on-premise solution, but more and more people are moving towards cloud solution. And that's why I've tried to include the ERP system under clouds category out here. Then there are a lot of MOOC, and I'm sure all of you are aware of various kind of MOOCs and online platform learning platforms. So Coursera, EDX, Udemy are all global solutions. NPTEL and SWAYAM are Government of India sponsored solutions. Again, I've tried to show in them in green. It allows, cloud enables video streaming, interactive quizzes, peer discussion forums, all that you can upload your courseware on these platforms, and students can enroll to these MOOC platforms to attend their courses. So again, this is something which is possible over a cloud solution. Yeah, you can do it on proprietary, but again, there are huge risks, and we'll talk about it as we move forward. So once we have started using cloud services, then there comes billing, because nothing is free. So most of these cloud services, if you subscribe, generally the services are pay usage-based pricing. You pay as you go. So they also offer you one-time fixed contracts also, but you also have got pay as you go, because it becomes easy for you to, if you scale initially, you don't have much usage, you pay less, and the price goes up as the number of students increases, or your data usage increases. So your charges go up based on your usage. Okay, but then it is advantages for you don't have to wait for 6 months to 1 year to set up a solution. You can launch your solution in maybe in a day's time to a week's time based on your requirement. Now, there are common issues also with this billing. Well, the pricing, though they have subscribed, but people don't. The fee structures are very, very complex, and there are a lot of hidden costs. So, for example, if I have taken a cloud server and I have stored the data onto low-cost storage, generally when I say cold storage means if you have archived the data. Now, archive data, the cost of storage is very low. But when you have to extract the data from the archive, then they charge you high fees is required to pay for your internet access, the bandwidth usage. So the cost goes up. If you are accessing your data from the cold storage sites or your backup sites, then the cost goes up. Sometimes some users might be using excessive APIs. So again, that could increase your cost. So you have to monitor. It's not that you should not use the cloud services, but I would encourage you to look at your bill, see the trend from month over month, what is happening. If suddenly the cost has gone up, you need to talk to your service provider to find a solution. Talk to the vendor or your developer to find out what is increasing the cost, so that you can keep it in control. If you don't watch it, suddenly you will get a huge bill after a month or a year, depending on your billing cycle. So make sure that you are keeping an eye on the cost. Best practices: define what your workload would be before you are choosing the vendors. You monitor your usage. Your admin or whosoever is from your institute should be looking at the usage and billing. Generally, these services give you an estimate in terms of what would be your expected cost by end of the month. So you need to review the bills monthly for any anomalies, and consider flat rate providers. There are services, once you know what is your usage base, the cloud companies will give you that, okay, why don't you pay me a monthly X amount, and that would be your capped thing. And if you exceed some levels, threshold, then they will charge you extra. So you might sign for X number of CPU utilization, So compute, for example, you have defined that this is the compute which I want. But if you increase that compute, they will charge you for the delta. Okay, so that is how you can control your cost. So again, while you are using cloud services, make sure that you are keeping an eye on the billing. Now, there are several advantages. That is no or little capital cost. Means the capital cost is for the cloud service provider. As far as you are concerned as a user, for you, there is as little or no capital cost. It gives you very high availability. As far as you have internet access, you can access, And so people can access this from their institute or from their home or wherever they are in the globe, the access is over the internet. The maintenance cost is low for yourself, for you don't have to pay too much, because the maintenance is centralized. So the resources are utilized well by the cloud service providers. The deployment is also very fast. As I mentioned earlier, within days or hours, you can deploy your solution. and it gives you very high scalability. So you can increase double, triple or your requirement for compute as well as storage or bandwidth just by going online and changing on their control panel. So you have access to their, generally when you subscribe, you will have access to their portal. You can go to the portal and just change that this is what I want, and they will change it on the fly or the next day when your service is available. It will, depending on the type of your request. Some requests can be accommodated immediately. Some can take some time when they will allocate you the resource within 24 hours or something like that. Now, the expenses can go out of control, as I mentioned in the billing slide, that it can be controlled if not monitored, So you need to monitor. Cross-border data ownership can be a challenge. So if you are using a service where data is outside India, so if you remember, a lot of you are using all these social media applications, and let's say if you're using Instagram, so Instagram would store the data most likely out of India, or based on depending on the location of the resource or person, they will move the data. But generally, you don't know where the data is there. So if there is a legal issue or the government is requesting or you are requesting or you have data has been leaked outside, and if you go and want to take up with them or file a suit against them, then the issue becomes in terms of who owns the data, where it is, and all that can become a challenge. So you have to be very clear that when you are signing up with the cloud service provider, have an agreement who owns the data and where it is stored. Okay, make sure that you define all those very clearly in your contracts. Then data security and privacy could be a risk. It's not that it is there, but then there are ways to manage it, But still, you have to be very careful because the data is stored outside your premises. So if your cloud service provider gets hacked or their employees have got somebody pays them millions of dollars to go and do unauthorized access, they might do it. So you don't have much control. So that's a risk on them as far as data security and privacy is concerned. There are solutions to that issue, but then nevertheless you have to be aware that the data is not in your control. Then the vendor lock-ins are there. Sometimes you have to pay. You might sign. If I have signed not for pay as you go, but if you have signed for 6-month contract or year contract to save money, then you get into a vendor lock-in. So if you want to break the contract, sometimes you have to pay for the entire lock-in period or pay a penalty to exit from there. So generally, as far as when I was working for Deccan Education Society, for example, or we signed up a 6-month contract because that was cheaper. Now, if I have to get out of that contract because of some reason, then in 3rd month or so, then I might have to pay the remaining fees, whatever it was for the remaining period, or depending on how much you can negotiate with them. So be very careful when you are signing up for lock-in contracts. Then comes the regulation issues like GDPR and Indian IT laws. Again, Indian IT laws might not be applicable for if the data is stored outside. GDPR is from Europe, European data privacy laws. So there again, some of the requirements are, for example, that if your subscriber wants to be forgotten, if I'm using Instagram, for example, and if I want to be forgotten, then as per GDPR law, the vendor has to remove me from their the database. They have to give me a solution for that, Now, there are issues as well, You might remove the data which is online, but what happens to the data which is on cloud or backed up, So there are a lot of challenges over there. You have to be very aware in terms of what can happen to the data. Once anything goes on the internet, you don't know where it will be there and how long it can be present and who is using the database data, So again, you have to be aware of what the law is. And as per your solution which you are providing or service you are providing to your clients, you need to decide on what the cloud service you will use. So for example, again, let's assume your Indian institute, let's say for the sake of example, let's say IMDR. IMDR has got a few students from Europe. So then we have to comply with the GDPR requirements over there because we are providing to European clients. And that is where you have to be aware. Or you have to write in your agreement with the students that their waiving their rights under GDPR that they are using our service, and they give a waiver to IMDR that will not be held responsible for GDPR. So again, your contracts have to mention all that when you are signing up with European students or European clients. Then there comes restrictions due to sanctions. Again, I've given you it in red because today's day, I think, with all these wars and sanctions which you are hearing, a lot of issues are there, And recently there was a case where one of the Indian entities, which I'll talk about in the case studies, got impacted, because of the sanctions. And that so I'll talk about this in a case study when I move forward. But these are the risks. If the US says that you cannot use our services in US or anywhere else, imagine what will happen. If we go into a agreement where we get into a terrible contractual issue or kind of, I would say, issue with any other government, and they say you can't use our services, let's say Google, etc. Immediately, all your Google Cloud, Microsoft Cloud, etc., will be not usable for us. We will be, if your data was there, you will be stuck, and that is what we'll talk about in the next few slides. Then the risk is of very large data centers, because these cloud computing centers are very huge. They have got environmental impact. So again, they make a lot of humming sound, and people complain. People living in the neighborhoods, they complain that they can't sleep and they get a lot of illnesses, etc. because of this. They consume huge amount of electricity. They consume huge amount of drinking water. You can't use seawater or any other water. You need clean water for cooling, and that is where it consumes for around a typical cloud computing data center would consume for electricity worth what 60,000 people might be using at their home. Yeah, so be aware, there is as yesterday only I saw a video by Bloomberg or which was prepared by them, which showed there are 1,200 cloud centers in US, and a lot of people have complaints about these mega data centers, especially from Amazon, Google. These are the biggest cloud service providers, and they have got huge issues on the environment as well. Now we'll briefly talk about the security threats and mitigation, because all of you, if you use cloud services for your communication, you should be aware what the threats are and how will you mitigate with them. Yeah. So one is with data breaches. So people can have unauthorized extraction of sensitive information due to misconfiguration or hacking. Ultimately, sometimes even your staff might be configuring it, and they might have misconfigured it. If they are not properly trained, they have not configured it properly. They might leave loopholes which can provide access to outside people. It's not because of the cloud service provider. It could be because of them also, but it could also be because of your reasons also that so it could be hacked. So you need to understand who's doing what on this shared model. You have to very clear and verify that your security is in place. As mentioned in the previous session on IoT, the speaker was talking about vulnerability assessment. Whatever solution you are loading, you need to ensure that vulnerability assessment is done on a time-to-time basis. Weak authentication would be there, can be a risk that people are using very weak passwords. Again, people I've seen in education institutes, people are using cloud services and they would share their passwords with other colleagues or students, or sometimes with their members, that why don't you log in onto the ERP on my behalf. Again, the security policy is very important. They should not be sharing their IDs. They should always be using two-factor authentication or multiple authentication factor. A lot of faculty members I've seen, they raise concerns that it takes time for me to log in if I'm using multi-factor. But it is for your security that multi-factor authentication has to be used. You can't go with weak passwords, and I've seen people don't change their passwords for months. You have to follow several times with the students or faculty members to change the passwords. And if they get locked in, then your help desk gets a lot of calls for resetting the password. So there are self-service tools also available, but again, be aware that these are things which can happen, but ensure that people are, only solution is to train on cybersecurity. People have to be made aware that they have to have strong passwords. Don't store your password on your mobile or Excel files. Do remember it or use a password management solution to store your passwords. Then there could be insider threats, attacks initiated by current or former employees. So which who have got privileged access. Again, I've seen that when employees are leaving, your their user IDs have to be deactivated as fast as possible, as immediately. On the last day of the employee or prior to his last date, his ID should be deleted. But I have seen myself with my eyes with your educational institutions, generally for a couple of days, months, their IDs are active, And even the employees have left in IT also, their IDs might be floating around, So you have to be very careful that the day a person leaves, not only is ERP or cloud IDs, your firewall IDs, all of them have to be disabled. Because I know that you will have given him internet access, you would have given him Microsoft Office 365 access, you would have given him or her ERP access or admin privileges. Most of the IT resources would have admin privileges. Again, those all have to be changed. Generally they don't change. Multiple admin users would be using the same IDs. So that's the biggest risk which you are using and running. And primarily it happens from your organization only. Again, it can happen from the cloud service provider also, but be aware that this is across. So you have to be very careful and make sure that policies and procedures are in place and those are enforced. Only way to solve is have a policy and procedure against it. So or try or also implement least privilege principles. Try not to give all the access to all the people to one person. Distribute it. Make sure that you are reviewing the logs. Somebody in the management is looking at it. Even if I am the super admin, your log has to be reviewed on a regular basis. And these practices I've seen with the global companies. So I've worked with Citibank, IBM. All of them have got the very strict controls. Indian companies generally don't do all this strictly. Some of them might be doing, I'm not saying generally, but I think many of these specifically MSME companies, they don't have strict controls. So when you are educating people, do tell them that, or you should also emphasize that policies are in place. People are changing passwords on a regular basis. Whenever employee leaves, make sure their user IDs are locked immediately. Next issue is about data locality. You have to be aware of where your data is as per your legal requirements. In India, as per India's IT Act, I think our PI, SPI, that is data that is personally identifiable data or SPI sensitive personal information data should be in India only. So be sure that you have to check with your legal when you are using with the cloud service that where your data can reside, what would you allow? So if you are using an ERP service, ensure that your data is in India, not outside India. Okay, even if it might be cheaper to keep in Singapore or elsewhere, do insist that the data resides in India and you pay for that service. And do also conduct due diligence on vendor policies. Make sure that your contracts mention that where the data is being stored. Even if you have to keep a backup, then to try to use a cloud service where the backup is in a different location. So your cloud center can be in Mumbai, your backup can be in Bangalore, so that both these data centers don't go down at the same time. So try to keep them in a geographically distant locations for ensuring the data, from business continuity perspective, you have the data available to you. Again, human error can be there, employee negligence leading to oversharing of data, phishing, etc. So again, this can be achieved via prioritizing employee education and ongoing security training. And one of the important things is wherever possible, if you know that the data is confidential, especially you don't have to encrypt everything, because encryption is expensive. It takes time. So, but then all your confidential data should be encrypted either at rest or in transit. So if you are in REST means if it is stored in a database, it should be encrypted. And if you are using an API or delivering it to the client, again end to end from your client to server, it is transit. It should be in encrypted data. Now, there's a case, some of the good examples or recent examples which all of you can relate is education during pandemic. So I was fortunate to be part of Deccan Education Society during the COVID period. To 2018, I joined them. And when COVID came, unfortunately, at that time, we were using Microsoft Office 365. We had limited licenses at that point of time, but everybody was not using. I was trying to encourage people to use emails, etc. But people were, faculty was not all faculty was conversant with emails. Generally, most of the communication would happen with on paper-based communication. But when COVID struck, a pandemic during lockdown was announced. After that, I had to run several sessions to train all the education faculty on how to use these email systems, how to use the cloud-based Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams was also new that time. So a lot of people had to be trained. But then eventually we were able to give licenses to 50,000 students, because we signed up for licenses for 1,000 faculty members, and we negotiated with Microsoft to get, instead of 40, 50 student licenses, so 50,000 students, whether from junior school, that is class 1, class 2 to PG students, all of them had access. And every day myself, I was creating their IDs and giving them so that make sure that they get online. But again, we could see that everybody got online, and teachers and faculty members did a very good job to how to scale up and run the entire education system during that pandemic. And at the same time, while the pandemic was going on, we could also deploy the new ERP system without even the ERP vendor, they did not even have to visit us. They did the entire ERP implementation by talking to us on cloud and using cloud services to deploy the ERP. Similarly, a lot of companies and corporates, all of you could work from home during the COVID pandemic. And that was thanks to all the cloud communication tools or modern communication tools which we are using over the cloud. And everybody could either use free services from Google or Zoom or whatever was available, and could manage the work. What I show in red is recent. It was in month of June, July itself. There's a company called Naira. You would have known that it's a petroleum company. It's an Indian company, but then in partnership with a Russian company. Now, Europe European Union had some sanctions over them because they were shipping oil from Russia to India on using ships, and so Microsoft on their own, they restricted on one day. They often fine morning they stopped all the services of Naira Energy. So because of that, they could not access their emails, or if they had servers, etc., everything got stuck over there. Naira went to court, and when Naira went to Indian courts, Microsoft understood, because they had a contract in India and they had paid for all the money. So, and plus, there was no sanction per se for, there were no instruction to Microsoft. Microsoft did it on their own, So Microsoft had to revoke restore the services, but Naira could go online. But during this phase, Naira went ahead and used services from Zoho or Rediff. I guess they use Rediff's services. But then again, this is a big risk, especially for all our people who are from India or anywhere in the globe. This is a risk which can happen anytime. One fine day, if one country decides that they want like to stop the services, whatever the legal recourses might be there, but they can disrupt, and we have to be independent, not be dependent on such services. We have to try and use as much as possible Indian services. And this you might have heard recently from our Prime Minister as well, when he mentioned that we have to have our own social media solutions and other solutions, primarily because of these sanctions which can come in anytime. If one fine day any government thinks that India is not towing their line, they can restrict our services. So this is something which is very, very important, and you all are in education, so you should be aware that these are the risks, and you have to encourage, though it might be expensive, but again, give opportunity and try to use the Indian services wherever possible if you can afford, or also know what the risk is before you sign up any services. Here are some of the future trends in communication. Again, because of cloud plus 5G real-time communications are happening. So this is something which will change the way the communication happen. For example, today I'm speaking in English, right now most of the presentation is English. Now, if somebody wants to, is attending it in Russian, or he doesn't know English, or he doesn't know, he is conversant with Hindi or Marathi, they could, in future, they should be able to access, hear whatever I am speaking in English right now in their own languages. There are some solutions available right now, but they are not so effective. But if the slide is in English, it can automatically translate in Marathi or Hindi or any other language for them, including the audio, video, everything can be done. So I think this is going to happen in the future. AI chatbots, again, I have included here because a lot of you are using, it's in my opinion, it's still, if you are talking to a chatbot from OpenAI or Gemini, again, you are communicating with them, So this is again a future trend in communication. A lot of people are talking to them and finding solutions. They are learning also via these chatbots, So Google Gemini can be used for education. A lot of other tools are available. A lot of platforms are already coming up for education sector as well. The students can talk to them as with the virtual teachers. It's still a long way, but again, they cannot or might not be able to give the same flavor or also what the humans can do. But again, for some small cases, it can be used. Then the future is of edge computing, where your devices also can do some of the heavy lifting in terms of compute for as far as translation, etc. is concerned, so that all that is not happening on server. You might do it on your edge devices, that is your mobile, etc. Then virtual reality and augmented reality, it is still there, but from education perspective, it's not there widespread, and it has to become more, with all these spectacles with cameras or with VR devices which are there, it can become a reality. I have tried myself. For me, it does not work because it's heavy, and putting it on over my specs is very difficult. So, and sometimes you get giddiness because of this equipment. But I'm sure all this will get addressed, and things will become simpler as we move forward. And then is holographic communication as well. Microsoft has a solution called HoloLens, where when you are presenting as faculty from any remote location, people will see a 3D image in front of them as a hologram. So again, this is all experimental places, but I'm sure in next couple of years you should see it is as a reality as we move forward. Now I'll pause here. I think I've done most of the speaking I want to do. We have got 15, 16 minutes left. So there were a couple of group exercise is when I would like to use your chat, so I would encourage you to use your, so first question for you is, let's talk about your, first question first. What would be your key considerations while signing up for a cloud computing service? So if you are using in your organization, try to type it in 1 or 2 words in your, don't give long sentences, but quickly in terms of what your key considerations are there, and we'll talk about it. So I see Bandhali has mentioned security and cost. I would encourage as many of you to put your thoughts in terms of what would be your key consideration while you are signing up for a cloud computing service. Go ahead. Is chat open for everybody? Is that right, Pitha?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Chat is open for everybody, and we are getting answer: security and cost, ease and accessibility, safety and security, hassle-free. So one has written that.
I can. Chat is visible to me now. I'm
yes,
looking at the chat. Yeah, thank you. So everybody, security is already given. So add something new, what is not written here, because I'm assuming that it is there for everybody. So try and if all of you can see the chat, try and put something new other than security and safety and reliability? Anything new which comes to your head? Okay. Used to connect with customer. Yeah. Good. I think most of you have covered all the points which are there. So which is which we talked about in my slides as well. So anything which is not in my slide and you would like to talk, free access performance. Yeah. Good. Security. Yeah. So just a second. Everybody has mentioned security.
Somebody has mentioned data portability and vendor lock-in
Yeah.
risk.
Yeah.
One is performance, which is separate, and then hassle-free multiple options are there. We're mentioning integration and compatibility.
Good.
Storage.
Okay. So nobody has mentioned about location where data should be in India or outside, or data ownership and portability. Yeah. Okay. Good. So now let's I think all of you have got the key reasons why a cloud should be used. So we talked about security, performance, scalability is very important. Performance is very important. Easy, quick service. You want it, you get it on demand, and you can start with a very low cost. Today, cloud services offers, Google, for example, $100 worth of servers or services are free to students. Generally, a lot of compute is given free to students. So that is for educational institutions. It makes a lot of sense to use all these services. But then you have to be still very careful in when you are using these services. Okay, good. So now I think you all understood what it is and why you should use the cloud. So let's talk about in what scenarios. This is a difficult one. In what scenarios you would not use cloud and computing services. Now let's change our focus. Because I did not talk about this at all, and I wanted you to think about, and that's the reason that in what scenarios you would not use cloud computing service. Good. Data sensitivity like defense, very important. Privacy. Anything else? I'm looking for one specific word, or so, which is not yet come. See, security and privacy is there. Everybody is writing, but there is.
Somebody has interestingly mentioned banking.
Yeah, banking also
Banking.
we have to. Yeah, yes, so I was looking for confidentiality. So confidential data is what I was expecting, that if you have confidential data, you may, again, you can use, people are using, but again, depend on the type of confidential. If you have, the design of missiles or your nuclear telemedicine, for example, anything proprietary, even for you, as a lot of you would be doing PhD, or you have got you're doing some patents, or you are doing your research. You may not like all that research to be put onto the cloud, specifically if it is Chinese cloud or American clouds or something. You can't trust them. They might have all, but they might be running tools over there. So I would not trust any of these, including American ones, whether they say anything, what they can do encrypt or something. You have to be very sure if it is very, very confidential, or specifically not only confidential, if it is of national security. If you have got something to do with patents, etc., which can lead to, which is very, very important for your country, or drug design or whatever you are doing, then you may not use these cloud services. So full control and customization is mentioned. You will need that. So you can. Absence of internet and cloud can't be used. Okay. So you have to think about in what scenarios you would like to use it. Sometimes you may want to keep it in very close, I say air gapped. So when they say air gap means the equipment is in, for example, I would give you a very classic example, which today your institutes are doing it. When they are setting their exam papers, they don't do it on cloud computers. Most of them, when they are designing and setting the papers, they do it in-house in a air-gapped environment. Once the question paper has been set, when it is ready and they have selected the question paper, then when for online exam, they might only use, and that too within few minutes, not a couple of days in advance, but then just before the exam, a day before the exam, or a couple of hours before the exam only, they will upload if it is an online exam. But if it is a written exam, none of the question papers are set over the cloud exam. So again, those are the situations when I would recommend you not to use your cloud services. If you are using doing your PhD and you writing something, try if it is very, very confidential. I'm sure for your research you will use cloud to extract data. But when you are writing something, your paper, try to keep it encrypted. If you have to keep in cloud, keep it encrypted. Try and because if you started sharing or something, be very, very conversant, because it can go out of your control. So tomorrow you would not know what has happened with it. So be very, very careful in terms of what you are keeping on cloud, and be aware of it. Somebody said stock exchange, and generally stock exchanges are not on cloud, but they might use some of the services. So for example, Zerodha, the stock exchange is Bombay Stock Exchange or NSE. So all those stock exchanges are not on cloud. They might have huge data centers of their own, because they have to give very low latency services. But then Zerodha platform, when they deliver, they use the cloud servers for connecting their clients. So when you're using Zerodha Kite, for example, that might be on cloud. The app which you are using goes via the cloud services, and they might use the proprietary infrastructure as a service, so that they have full control on what the environment is. But then again, partially, for your trading activities, you might use cloud, but actual stock exchange will not be on the cloud. Good. So I think all of you have got the flavor. So I think this was more or less the last slide. So I'll talk about the key takeaways and then Q&A. So you can open the Q&A if you want to. And I will.
So there were a couple of questions. So shall we take it later, or shall we continue
just
right
in a
now?
30 seconds? I'll talk about the key takeaways. So
Sure, sir.
The wrap. Cloud is evolution of the client server. It is central to teaching and research communication because it gives you global reach. So today, when we talk about most of you would be from Indian institutes. But what stops you from making yourself as global institutes? You can provide services and you can provide educations to students around the globe. Some of them are doing, but you may want to do it more. It gives you ease that you can launch your courses for Africa, Asia, wherever it is possible. It gives you extreme scalability. The benefits which you have over the cloud, it outweighs the risk. There are risks, so it doesn't mean that, but then you will still, the benefits which are there, you need to weigh it and then use it for your purposes. We'll move to, we have got 7, 8 minutes, which we can spend on the Q&A. There have been some questions earlier. Let me scroll up.
Yes, sir. Sir, I'll prompt the question if that is okay, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
So one of the questions that has been asked, that which cloud service is better? So there were a couple of cloud services which you discussed earlier. So which cloud service is the most preferred one as per you, sir?
Again, depending on the type of service and the fees. So again, for education, because of the license, I'll talk specifically about the education. Microsoft Teams is wonderful for you. Because of for faculty, the licensing costs, again, you have to negotiate with Microsoft. But student licenses are cheap, even the cost, whatever costs, the business, when they charge to the business, the cost of Office 365 is 5 times. And plus they give you all the services. Most of the cloud services are available. But why they are doing, you have to also be aware of that, because they want to make you their slaves. You become a slave of Microsoft. Once you use it, you are lifetime bound to that. Okay, beyond that, so be careful, be aware that why they are giving this they are not doing any favor for us. They are trying to, when they I've seen it myself. Once you have used, if tomorrow if I tell you to use Open Office or Star Office or any other product, you will not use it. You say, I want exactly like Office 65 or my Microsoft tools. So try to be a little open, but then otherwise from in terms of pricing perspective, as of today, it is very good. But they can stop your services, as we have seen with Naira. That's a risk, So if you are nationalist and you think that you want to don't use any services outside India, then or you want to promote Indian products, then I would like to encourage you to use Zoho. Again,
Okay.
if you want free, then Google has got free services, but then you have to outweigh based on what your national priorities are there and what would you like to encourage. But try to use as many services as possible. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
So there is one more question that among scalability, flexibility, and real-time sharing, which do you think has most transformative impact on modern business communication? Sir, I'll repeat the question.
Yeah, I know.
Again.
I saw the question. I'm reading it.
Yes,
I think both of them, because I would say all of them have got, because scalability is important today's date, flexibility is there, and today's date you want real-time sharing. I think all of them are equally important. You can't say either of them is less or no. So I think because of all three of you, right now also we can have 10,000 people on this call. That doesn't stop us, even 100,000. I know, but then all of them are very important as of today for modern communications, and especially people have got billions of people followers on social media. So depending on again what your role is. So for example, Prime Minister Modi has got several followers. If he wants to communicate with everybody today, he sends birthday wishes to you directly. It comes from Modi ji. He sends a card to you. He might not be doing it personally, but it feels as if Modi ji has sent you a card. So that's his reach to the entire population. So that's the reach which we have with the cloud services.
Yes, sir. So next question I wanted to ask, like from security perspective of security point of view, server or cloud computing, which is better?
So security perspective, again, server is there, but the scalability is not there. If you are doing it from your data center, you have to have high bandwidth internet. You need to have but again, risk is still the same. So again, if you keep loose controls over there, if you have unauthorized users getting in, people getting in because of your ID card was not accessed, you have to disable all that if the employee leaves. Or if the employee is disgruntled, if he knows he has to get fired, he can enter and do anything over there. So that issue is there. I have seen, especially in India, our educational institutions, many people can't afford to have high, data, big, server administrators, DBAs, etc., qualified ones. They might have few, and if the person leaves, again, getting a backup is very difficult. So it's a issue of it becomes a security issue as well as risk for you. So today's date, very few people would be using data centers of their own unless they are legacy centers. Again, they are not up to date. They don't update the licenses. They don't keep it up to date. So from that perspective, as of now, cloud is what I would recommend. And unless it is I'm in defense, if I'm doing developing a very secure product, and you might be doing, a lot of you work with the industry for working on, let's say you're developing an mechanical engineering institute is working on, let's say, jet engine, and you're designing something. You don't want to do it on cloud. You might want to use in-house so that you don't leak out anything. So those are the considerations you might have.
Yes, sir. That's true. I mean, from that perspective, security aspect, definitely. Server also, I mean, this seems like a more convincing option. So one other question, that what challenges arise when deploying cloud native applications over wireless networks with variable latency? And how might 6G cloud integration support ultra reliable low latency communication for next gen applications like remote surgeries?
Even, so I'll first answer the first one, which is there. So there are challenges, we have seen, specifically now, thanks to 5G being there, the communication has improved. But then when we were doing online exams again during the COVID time, there were issues, people who are in villages or small cities, they faced issues, when they are remote areas, but at least people within Pune region, etc., they did not have issues. But people who went to their native cities, they could not connect to for the exams, or had issues. But then again, sometimes we had to work with our ERP vendor to make sure the system is designed in such a way that it works in low latency case. So the real proctoring, we had to disable proctoring at that point of time to make, so that proctoring doesn't over provide an overhead. But then again, such problems can be solved. But then the 5G network has improved, and I've seen at my home today, right now, I get 4G, while I'm in kind of center near the Pune University. But when I went to Mulshi in a village, I got full 5G over there access. So this weekend itself, I was in Mulshi and I had 5G access. So people are getting access, but then if there is exam, etc., make sure that you announce, tell the students that don't take it lightly. It's just a serious exam. Come closer to wherever the network is. Ensure that you are near a tower and then only appear for the exam. Don't assume that the institute, it's not institute's responsibility or your responsibility to provide the bandwidth over there. It is student's responsibility as well that he has to go to wherever the service or the speed is available. And the question was about 6G. Hold on. So 6G is still yet to be rolled, and whatever is the the expectation from 5G, when 5G was about to come, that time also the expectation was that people can use 5G services for doing next gen services, etc. All that hype was there. But today in reality, 5G is still also not there. Again, I've seen it with all the technologies which we have seen so far. When it was 3G, you were not getting the 3G services. 4G came, 5G came. So same thing will happen 6G, because as the bandwidth or frequency increases, the distance is also low. But yes, there are proprietary 5G solutions which would be there. So people have to design in such a way that you can ensure that the 5G network is available for providing it in remote locations. Okay, but then you can't take it for granted that because 5G is there in India, it will work over there. You have to make sure that necessary infrastructure from the service provider is there and it is working over there. Okay, so
Yes,
I'm sure that, and same thing will happen with 6G also. So because it depends again on how much load is there. If suddenly, many people are there, again, it can impact and degrade the network presence, Any question?
yes.
Is the
So
data
there were
which
multiple other questions, but I think because of the time constraint, we will take one last question. So which I
okay, go
found
ahead.
very much interesting, and I'm asking when this is something which has been prevailing to, which has been asked to all our resource persons, that cyber attacks are becoming more sophisticated every year. So what skills next generation professionals should have in order to stay ahead? And are there any specific skill sets which are there any career opportunities related to that?
Okay,
Some of the
this is
participants.
very, very interesting. And this is a topic which you heard when in MCCI, I'm driving this initiative on cybersecurity with educational institutions. So around 40 educational institutions in Pune itself, we are trying to help develop cybersecurity clubs so that they are aware of what needs to be done. So I have a full 1 hour session only on the career opportunities on cybersecurity. So if you guys are interested, and if IMDR sets up another setting or call, we can talk about it. But in generally, if you allow me or to share one slide, there are hundreds of opportunities which are there, all kind of roles. So people have a general understanding that for cybersecurity you need to be an hacker. That's not true. Only 5% or 2% of the roles are required. Majority of them are with respect to education. People have to be educated, designing. People who are deploying secure, diploma holders, all of them have got necessary skills. When you are configuring a server, that itself has to be configured properly. So again, I cannot do it justice by talking in 1 minute or 2 minutes. It's a special session, and I do it for free for all the education institutions here. But if IMDR arranges some separate call, I would encourage Shikha Madam, Gopa Madam, and Pritha Madam to think about it and have a separate offline session, and I'll be happy to do that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. And with this, I think we'll conclude today's session. I know participants do have multiple questions, but we have a time crunch. So I think I'll over to you, Gopa ma'am.
So, Pritha madam, if you can take those questions and maybe offline, if you can summarize them and we can
Sure,
send
sir.
an email or something.
Sure, sir.
So let's, they have asked question which is important. So we will answer them also, but do it offline.
Sure,
maybe
sir.
in a day or two. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Pritha, and thank you so much, sir, for that comprehensive and insightful session on the role of cloud computing in modern communication. Sir, your explanation on how cloud technology is driving innovation, whether through accelerating the adoption of new communication platforms, addressing critical security considerations, or opening up the future trends that will reshape the digital landscape, was truly enlightening. The clarity with which you presented complex ideas made the session not only informative, but it was highly engaging. We are still receiving multiple thank yous to you. And on behalf of all the participants and IMDR, we sincerely appreciate the time and effort that you dedicated for sharing your expertise with us today. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thanks to Shikha madam, Pritha madam, and yourself, Gopa madam, for giving me this opportunity. This is I enjoy doing these sessions. It's my privilege. Thank you.
Pleasure is all ours, sir. Thank you so much once again.
Sure.
And dear participant, they too expanded our horizon with deep insights on IoT applications in business and the role of cloud computing in modern communication. These sessions highlighted not just the technology, but also the organization and how they can adopt it to real business impact. And very heartful thanks to all our speakers for today for their thought leadership. And now I request all the participants to kindly take 2 minutes to complete day two feedback, and it will help us capture your reflections in real time. So, Prathamam, can you just do the required?
Yes, so feedback link has been posted in the chat box, and I'll also post the same in the WhatsApp group. So I'll request you all to kindly share the feedback for day two. And while you submit the feedback, so tomorrow we our sessions are starting at 6 p.m. sharp. And the session is on communicating complex technologies effectively by Dr. Vibha Vyas, and another session on ethical considerations on next gen communication by Mr. Abhijit Lima is also scheduled for tomorrow. So I'll request you all to please share your feedback. And with this, we come to the end of day two. So thank you all. Have a good night. I have keep this meeting on. I'll end the meeting once all the participants leave. Thank you so much. Have a good night.